Welcome from the bowels of hell.
The Dana Gould Hour.
Jungle worms and swamp rats run around your feet.
I bought a dog that killed the calf, that ate the canary. What is truth?
And once again, welcome back.
Hello, and welcome to our September episode. Hopefully it's still September by the time you're hearing it. But just because the September episode came out at the very end of September, that does not mean that October, our Halloween episode, will be coming out at the very end of October. Not true. It will be coming out right smack dab in the middle of the month. The reason this episode came out when it did is because basically I did both episodes at once. But I had to do that in anticipation of the month of October, which for me is always, as you will hear, busy, busy, busy. So this way I've got that locked and loaded, as they say. But this show, Matt Braunger is here. Matt Braunger is a hilarious comedian. He's a good pal of mine. He's a friend of the show. Matt has a brand new podcast out called Tank Top Talks. And it's exactly what it sounds like. People in tank tops talking about people, talking about tank tops. People in tank tops talking about other people in tank tops. And it's tip-top. Tank Top Talks is a tip-top pod. You get it. Tank Top Talks. And also, Paul Myers is here. What I said about Matt, same goes for Paul. But he's not a stand-up comedian. He is a brilliant journalist and a writer. He's written, among other books, The Kids in the Hall, One Dumb Guy, A Wizard, A True Star, Todd Rundgren in the Studio, Bare Naked Ladies, Public Stunts and Private Stories. His new book is required reading for any fan of comedy, John Candy, A Life in Comedy. And Paul is here to discuss the amazing life and career of the great John Candy. R.I.P. Two Tales from Weirdsville takes a look at something we all do, sleep, and asks the question, what could go wrong? Well, as it turns out, quite a bit. There are, in fact, people in prison right now for things that they claim happened while they were asleep. And we are going to investigate. As I said, it's that time of year, so as far as my schedule is concerned, get out your pen on October 2nd, right here in Hollywood, California. It's Plan 9 from Outer Space Live. It is a Hollywood Halloween tradition, and I am proud to bring it to you. This year's cast features not only myself, the great Frank Conniff, TV's Frank from Mystery Science Theater, Aaron LaPlante, Lorraine Newman, Patton Oswalt, Jonah Ray, Kimmy Robertson from Twin Peaks, Paul F. Tompkins, Janet Varney, and Kat Augustin as Vampira. That's Thursday, October 2nd at Largo, right here in beautiful Hollywood, California. October 3rd and 4th, I will be in Denver, Colorado at the Comedy Works South at the Landmark. Then it's right back to LA on October 5th, where I will be hosting part of Gardena Cinema's Universal Horror Classics Film Fest. I will be introducing one of my favorite movies, a movie that blew my mind as a kid, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, on the big screen. Now let me say a couple things about Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, if I may. I've actually toyed with doing a True Tales from Weirdsville about it because it is a fascinating film. Here are the headlines. 1. The title, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. I like that the people who made the film didn't assume they were going to fight. Let's just have them meet. Every film tells the story of somebody with a goal. The goal in Jaws is Chief Brody wants to kill the shark. The goal in The Godfather is Michael Corleone wants to become who he was to be. As it turns out, he was not who he wanted to be at the beginning of the film. He could not escape his family. It is the story of the inevitable fate of Michael Corleone. Star Wars, Luke Skywalker wants to blow up the Death Star. Every movie tells the story of somebody in pursuit of a goal. The goal in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman is Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, wants to commit suicide successfully. And he can't because of his curse. That's the movie. It is a dark, weird story. And there's a whole other sidebar with Bela Lugosi as the Frankenstein monster that I'll save that for some other time. But it's a great film, and I will be presenting it on the big screen on Sunday, October 5th at the Gardena Cinema here in Southern California. And they're also showing all the other ones that day. It's a marathon. Dracula, Frankenstein, you get it. October 10th and 11th, I will be in St. Louis, Missouri at GalaxyCon. Hanging with Dr. Z Live will be presented on Saturday, and I will be there on Friday to sign and meet people. GalaxyCon in St. Louis, Missouri, October 10th and 11th. One of the best things to happen to me professionally this year was that I was invited to appear at GalaxyCon, and I gotta say, I love those things. I've made a ton of new friends doing them. The people who run them are great. The people that I do the shows with are great. The people that come to the shows are really, really great. That's on the 10th and 11th in St. Louis. And I have friends in St. Louis. I hope to see you. Then it's right back to Los Angeles on October 12th, where I will be taking part in Spook Show LA with the great Zabrecki at Dynasty Typewriter. It is a glorious updated version of the great spook shows of the past. And it is an absolute must-see live. Spook Show LA at Dynasty Typewriter with Zabrecki, Sunday, October 12th. October 24th and 25th, I will be at the Commonwealth Sanctuary Comedy Club in Dayton, Kentucky. And on November 8th, for one night only, I will be at the Comedy Studio in Boston, Massachusetts. One night only, November 8th. Me and my amazing talking mouth. For details and links to all of these and more, please go to the live appearance page of danagould.com. Lastly, thank Christ, this program is brought to you by you. You may hear a couple of spot ads here and there, but the show has always relied on its listeners for support, and we never fail to appreciate it. The show's Patreon is what pays the people who bring you the show. No one's making a profit, but everybody's getting paid. That's my business model, regrettably. So if you do like the show, please consider being a Dana Gould Hour Sky Cadet. Go to danagould.com and sign up for our Patreon. It's $5 a month, and you get some extra stuff. We don't have graduated levels. For $17.50 every 3 weeks, I'm not going to come to your house and massage your grandmother. $5 a month. You get some audio stuff, you get some video stuff, and you feel like you've done something good. You've kept a 2.5-hour ray of nerddom in your life once a month. All right. And now, it is on to our filthy business.
Tune in, it's a gas. It's the Dana Gould Hour podcast.
The Dana Gould Hour. Free and worth it. It's a sun-dappled fall day high atop the Mulholland Drive view shelf here in sunny Southern California, the People's Republic of California, in the former United States. Newsomstan, we like to call it. I can tell it's fall. The ice raids are now wearing orange and brown. I'll cut that. Someone once said, boy, I don't want to say they start the holiday seasons earlier, but the girls on Pornhub are already wearing Santa hats. My guest today is one of my favorite people and a dear friend. He is a comedian, fellow podcaster, actor, writer, entrepreneur, and people don't know this, one of the finest hand models of the 1990s.
Oh, the days.
Please welcome your friend and mine, America's next door neighbor, Matt Braunger.
Hey, Dana, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, you bet.
And thanks for coming personally
Sure.
to Falcon's Lair as opposed to zooming in like all these other bums.
I had to do a Zoom yesterday for an audition, which actually, most auditions these days are self-tape, and the Zoom was refreshing. And when it's refreshing to Zoom,
Yeah, I know.
I just need to face if I can, and it's like, I live 7 miles from you; it's nothing. So.
Can you? Yeah, and the self-tape. It's also, and then if I get the job, do I I'll buy the clothes. I'll film my part, send it to you. You just mat me.
I'll direct
in.
myself.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
It's like, is there any? But I think the good thing about self-taping is you don't have to deal with the other actors in the waiting room. Like, oh, well, you're gonna get it.
Oh God, yeah. Where you're all there and you're all a type.
Yep,
for sure. Yeah,
I had a run in the '90s where I would just walk in, see Billy Ragsdale, and go, "Well, fuck it."
Oh yeah, leave. I had that with. I still joke. He lives right around the corner from you, but I joke with Will Sasso. Like I'll walk in and be like, "God damn it!"
Yeah, never mind.
You got it. You got it. Yeah. I think I did a video about because Drake has been posting things of semi kind of fascist leaning stuff.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. And so I was like, how? Like, I am a middle-aged comedian with a middling career. I'm very happy, but I'm just like,
sure.
How did
you have a career?
How did billionaire Drake steer right wing before me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Straight white male that I am.
when your diss track is Song of the Year, I think it also will screw with your
after Kendrick just ruined him in the public eye.
That was like
everything.
A Death Star.
But it's still because this is, it's just if you do the pander, the wink wink to the MAGA folks, it's just it's printing money.
Yeah, no, it is. And I hope I live to see it go away. Yeah. I don't know, because I think it's going to be generational. Mm-hmm. I don't really.
I don't think.
Did you see the Devo documentary?
No.
That's what you got to see.
Okay.
Because it's really about, they viewed their band and career as more of an art movement and a statement. And,
of course.
Because they were Jerry Casale, and I think Mark Mothersbaugh. Jerry Casale was at Kent State.
Okay. Oh,
and he was like 3 rows behind the girl that got shot. He saw her get shot.
Wow, Jesus.
And that's what sort of formed them. Like, the government is all, and that was sort of, they knew early on, they saw the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And their concept was de-evolution. Like we've peaked. And now we're receding.
Yeah.
And we are. Look, tattoo shops outnumber libraries. It's like,
Yeah.
And even the name of the band was like, how would they approach it? Like, well, it's all marketing. It's all Madison Avenue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like what we were talking about earlier, conflict, entrepreneurism. Well, how would Madison Avenue market de-evolution? It'd have a short, peppy name, Devo.
Well, and it's the easiest way to make money, or I should say the only way to make money in social media tech is conflict. And is in and what is the detritus of that? What is the aftermath of that?
Yeah.
Where people are left feeling lost and full of anxiety and full of rage.
Yeah. And you have to, you really, I don't know. It's one of those things like I don't see maybe the only result is like a different technology that doesn't apply as well. Like there's a new technology that allows you to pay for things by looking at it.
Right.
And that's what they go to.
Mm-hmm.
Cause if you notice, like, the technology is all about how do we get more money out of you?
Yeah.
And quicker.
Mm.
Like they haven't solved anything about carbon emissions, but now all you have to do is tap your credit card.
Sure.
It takes too long to run it.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty soon it'll be wrist scanning or Blink Pay. I have Blink Pay.
Yeah. Well, it's just turning away from blind consumerism and chasing the algo. I think.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a kind of microcosmic moment where I live in a cul-de-sac and I know everybody in the cul-de-sac and we all have each other's numbers and we all check in with each other and stuff. And so my daughter and this
sounds like you're getting ready to tell me you're a swinger.
We all No, I'm just telling you that we all collect guns. No, and so my kid plays with the kid across the street, and his dad comes out, and they ride bikes. My kid rides a scooter. I run around. I just chase my kid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this kid comes down the block, and invariably he'll have his phone, and he'll be like, "Did you see this TikTok? Did you hear the ding? Did you?" And we just go, "No.
Yeah.
Hey man, put that away, would you?" And the kid goes, oh yeah, and then he starts vibing, and then people come out of their houses and they're hanging out. And I'm not saying like, oh, have a block party every day.
No,
but it's just, you and me, before we even started this, you basically shared what's going on with you and what you're dealing with, and I shared a little bit what I'm dealing with, and it's just like more of that. More of that, and I've been as guilty as anybody, just going blasting out my rage, or this is what the problem is, or here's my take, everyone.
Sure. Yeah. Does anyone really need to hear this?
It's Yelp reviewer. It's the South Park Yelp reviewers episode times 1 billion right now.
Yeah.
Where take a break, put the phone down. It's really easy to say like likes are the new smoking or whatever, but definitely the phone is the cigarette now.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
And I look at my phone constantly, validation, checking for emails, checking for work,
Yeah.
But it's, I think the young people are saying to themselves, I hate that I have this. I hate that I need this.
Yeah.
And they're being much more honest with themselves than people my age and older, where it's just,
sure.
So that's.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. And it has, it used to be, it's led to sort of the death of the town weirdo, because now the town weirdo is networked with every other town weirdo.
What are the town weirdo? And like we are the town weirdo, like we are traveling weirdos.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
What are traveling weirdos doing? Oh, they're putting up crowd work clips. Oh, they're putting up clips of them interacting with fans. I got to do like that person kind of thing, where literally a year ago, I was like, boy, not keeping up with the Joneses, but I got to do more of that. And now I'm kind of like, I'm not good at that like he or she is.
Yeah, I've never mastered. It's funny, like I mastered Instagram, and TikTok is like an afterthought. I can't and you have to do it for professional, like you just spend an hour in the morning doing stuff for your job.
Right.
But it is, I'm happily niched out.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky enough to have a perfect distraction of my ego and need for self-fulfillment, which is a child.
Yeah.
So
how old's your daughter now?
She's 5.
Oh my God. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. Just eats up everything.
Yeah.
And my wife and I realizing that she finds old phones in the house and walks around with them and goes, I'm making a phone call. And we go, okay, we've got to check ourselves leave this thing alone, bury it when we get home, and work on staying off it more during the day, so that's kind of the process. And I don't have the answer, but it is good to know that it is conflict entrepreneurs. It is not social media tech giants. That's the only way those guys make money, and they've made enough.
Yeah.
Like, good Christ.
It is really, you were talking about that earlier, conflict entrepreneurs. This is, if you look at.
Credit to Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. That's where I got the term.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Well, and then we'll move off this subject. I promise the listeners.
Yeah, I know. Let's talk.
But one thing I've noticed about.
We are talking scary things.
We are
but it's not fun
movies.
Scary.
No.
It's like those horror movies that rely too much on grief. Or why is it always the loss of a wife or a child?
Right now we're stuck in Demon Seed, the woman getting raped by a computer.
Jesus Christ. Or what was the other one? Is it The Entity?
Yes.
Oh God.
I noticed this on Threads because it's Meta, which is like Threads has changed from a Twitter clone to now your feed is full of the people you follow arguing with a third party.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can jump in on that argument.
Yeah.
And it's an argument machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And half the time you're arguing to a piece of software.
It's
freedom-loving mom isn't a real person.
It's so obvious.
It's so obvious.
It just makes me laugh.
It's so naked and obvious.
The
vax-hating freedom patriot eagle man.
It's the person at the free Scientology movie who a friend of mine did this in New York. He was wandering around and was drunk or something. And there was a free Scientology movie. And he's like, I'll go. And went in and sat there. And he's empty theater. And then midway through this 10-minute thing, the guy comes and sits near him. And then the lights came up and the guy went, makes a lot of sense, right?
You're kidding.
It's as obvious as that. It's as obvious as
Makes
that.
a lot of sense.
I don't know, man.
No, it's crazy.
It seems like
they used to come up to you because the Scientology Center is right across the street from UCB and the restaurant Birds, which is a chicken restaurant and a bar.
Yep.
And we used to sit at Birds and they would come up to you and ask you a free personality test. Would you like to take a personality test? And, we knew them. We knew who they were pretty quickly. And they would ask the key would be unlearning. Unlearning bad habits.
Yeah.
And then we would go, you know what I need? Really? A cult. I need like a mind control cult. And they would just get up and move. Like anything
Done.
is a waste of time.
Yeah. I had that experience with young Christians on the road, and I was just at a coffee shop, and they kind of just swarmed, and they're just like hanging out and having fun. And this 20-nothing-year-old woman comes up to me and is just like, so what are you up to? What are you doing today? And I'm like, I'm just having a coffee. And Ryan is really, and you could tell she's looking for the in.
Yeah.
And I was like, at first I was annoyed. Then I was like, oh God, I'm every woman I hit on in my 20s. I'm getting that same vibe. And it's of course a little bit more noble than what I was going for, but it was, we're still looking to score. Am I right, lady? But it was a very funny realization to have that, where it was just like, oh, you have no game. You can't, but.
I was in Tempe, Arizona at the Improv. It was like 2 years ago. And I'm in the Starbucks, and these, it's Tempe, Arizona, and perfect segue. Everyone's in a tank top. There we go. All the girls are dressed in volleyball shorts and tank.
You're on the surface of the sun.
Yeah,
it's so hot.
Exactly, and everybody's everyone's 20 and beautiful, and I'm at the point now where just like I'm loving I'm invisible to these people.
It's great.
God bless you. God bless you.
Sure.
Keep going. So these two like central casting hot college chicks are talking to this guy near the table. And I'm like, in my fantasy, like, is this guy, is he working both these girls? Why did I miss everything?
Yeah.
And I'm listening, and then it was like, oh no, it's a Bible study group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I was so wrong. I was perfectly wrong.
And here's the thing. I used to be like, people that are extremely religious like that, they kind of drive me crazy. I had a little bit of a turn recently where I was lucky enough to be in this movie that was shooting in Mobile, Alabama. Mm-hmm. Mobile, Alabama, by the way, I fell in love with.
Really?
Very aware of its past, very multicultural. Yeah. A lot of gay flags.
Good for you. Good. That's great.
It's got a little bit of a fun chip on its shoulder because they had the first Mardi Gras in the 1800s, but way before New Orleans.
Is that where's the Edmund Pettus Bridge?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's a
I don't know if that's
Gulf town.
Sure.
And I just really dug the people, and I liked the different flavor and stuff. But that said, there was a woman that I was working with, and she was just acidly talking to one of the extras about how she was working on getting demons out of her life, and and the demons and the things. And there was the time where I would overhear that and be like, "You batshit crazy lady." Mm-hmm. And now I'm just like, okay, that's what she's working on, and that's a belief. Yeah, to me, I always
my demons are peanut butter.
My demons are red meat and alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We all have demons.
Yeah. And like Bob Marley said, you got to shake hands with the devil sometimes.
You got to shake hands with the devil.
But it's I'm just like, you don't have to. In my mind, the cynical part of me, you don't have to make that shit up. It's out there. We just talked about it. Meta.
Yeah.
Right there. The BlackRock, the company buying up all the real estate and keeping, shooting the populace of homeless people through the roof. Things like that.
Right.
But I'm just like, I've been working with her all day. She's a great person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's funny when
Cool.
you
Live and let live.
And when you go to these places, is what you said about Mobile, Alabama being really cool. And it leads to like a bigger thing. One of the reasons Mobile, Alabama is so cool is they're aware of their past. They know they've made mistakes. You know, they know they've fucked up spectacularly.
Sure.
And there's humility, and they move on. There was a great story about the guy that wrote the book that Saving Private Ryan was based on, the D-Day book.
Yeah.
With that historian, Stephen Ambrose, I think.
Is that right? Yeah, I know it's Ambrose.
Right, something Ambrose. Stitch Ambrose. But he wrote this multi-volume book about Nixon, and he's like, the reason the Vietnam War dragged on so much was that neither Johnson or Nixon wanted to be the, quote, first president to lose a war.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And he said, what's wrong with losing a war?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you realize it's a mistake and you realize you can't win, and you learn from your mistakes.
But there you go. You've kind of got to the heart of the problem of everything right now is, to me, the sign, and it's been said, of what it is to be a man, to be an adult, is to be able to say I was wrong.
Yes.
And to build better from there.
And
to admit you're wrong. That's a fucking thing a lot of people cannot do right now.
And culturally,
in this country. And it's okay to fight hard and lose.
Yes.
You know? But it's another thing to go. You imagine those administrations going, shit, we just wanted to own the resources.
And
it was nothing about democracy.
Yes,
you know?
of course. And without mentioning any names,
sure.
A lot of people.
We already said Nixon. He's dead, Dana. Don't worry.
It's all denying that we ever made a mistake.
Yeah, on a colossal scale.
Yes, that America is. We've done nothing wrong ever.
I know.
We've done nothing wrong ever.
Yeah,
and that's
erasing all this stuff is just
and that's why it's appealing, because it's easy.
Sure,
it's an 11-year-old's mentality about, it's like if you look at the country the way people look at their parents. Like, I don't think my parents are flawless, but I love them.
Sure,
I want them to do better.
Yes, and it's burying that stuff will create more hate than love. I went to the Tulsa Massacre Museum in Tulsa, and it's amazing. It's a technological marvel.
Wow.
And it's this thing of, I went through and sat there, and yes, of course, I feel white guilt and stuff, but I was also, I left feeling like refreshed in terms of cool to learn all that.
Yeah.
Heart-rendingly depressing, but I want more shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like not every atrocity in every street corner, but it makes us all stronger to know this stuff. So anyway, go ahead. Say something fun.
And I had public education, but largely before Reagan. So it was actually an amazing education.
Sure. Howard Zinn was your first teacher.
Yeah. Stephen Ambrose was my history teacher. No, I had a great public education. And, you're taught this theory of, you don't question it, of American exceptionalism.
Of course.
That you really, and it's not until you're older. I remember when, that you have to step back, like when Obama got grief for not wearing a flag pin that one day.
Yeah, in his tan suit.
Yeah. But it's like, there is a belief that you cannot speak against. That
sure.
we are God's favorite country.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's such a...
Yeah, and it's just like, if that's what you believe, I don't know where we even start talking.
You mean that God that loves everyone?
Yeah, equally.
And the poor the most?
Yeah, well, it's like,
God?
It's the great Carlin bit. Why would God give different people in different countries different numbers of different rights? And why do we get more? What does he like about us? Maybe it's because we have 16 different flavors of rice-a-roni.
It's great.
I watch, my algorithm is filled with Carlin clips. Like, that guy had 2025 nailed in 1993.
Yeah.
That guy was him and Zappa were so crazily ahead of their time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But this was what I was going to say, just because you mentioned Hut, apropos of absolutely nothing.
Oh, yes, please.
I'm at Rob Cohen and Jill Lederman's engagement dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting next to, at a big table, a lot of famous people there. I'm just sitting there enjoying watching Don Rickles in the wild.
Wow.
Sitting there eating. And it was a simple fare. It was like a barbecue. So it was like burgers and fries and things like that. And he's talking to somebody. I think he was talking to Martin Short. And I'm
Jesus
just sitting
Christ.
No, it was crazy.
It's your table? Wow.
Yeah, well, I crashed this table.
I would
was
too.
Rob.
Oh, I would
yeah,
too.
But it was.
We're all friends. You know,
Yeah,
sit right
but it was, Jill was a producer on Letterman for years. So she knew she worked all these people for years.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there just watching, and the Hispanic caterer went to remove Mr. Rickles' plate, and he's talking and he goes, and then he comes down, and then as the plate moves, Don just turns and goes, "Don't steal my fries and build a hut."
Jesus Christ.
And then he turns back, and Braunger goes, "A hut? Don, how would he build a hut?" And he just like. So you have a new podcast coming out called Tank Top Talks.
It's the stupidest, best thing I've done.
That
in
title
a long
is
time.
such a word burger. I'm astounded I did not come up with it.
You nailed it. Tank Top Talks.
Because we came up with Bukkake of Smiles.
Bukkake of Smiles, our mini tour that happened twice. We got to bring that back. Bukkake of Smiles, everybody.
What's the first word you bring to mind when you talk about your tour? Something horrific.
Then something fun. No, it was just this stupid
the
idea.
Depths of depravity and laughter.
This is a dumb idea. I bounced off a friend of mine who I've worked with on and off with. He's a veteran, and he has booked me in for shows in Bend, Oregon, and he's a writer. And he's written a few films. And
do I know this dude?
I don't think you do. I don't know if I should even. He doesn't really like.
Sure, great. No, it doesn't matter.
So, yeah, I would say his name, but anyway, I just said he's like you need a podcast, and I was like, you need to do another podcast, and I was like, I don't have any good ideas. He's like, give me your dumbest idea, and I was like, we both wear tank tops, and he's like, that's it. Next, what's next? They would go from there, and it's so funny because.
So is it YouTube? Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on all that stuff. We have about 8 episodes out right now, and it's basically I wear a tank top from my collection. Now I'm having to buy new ones. I'm not even I don't usually wear them except if I'm on vacation. I'll throw it on and I'll be that guy. Especially being a dad. I love being a dad by the pool with a beer with my kid, swimming, taking this tank top on and off, and then going in and out. With
I've never in my life owned.
That's why you have to come on, because people wear them and go, I feel so fucking stupid. And I'm like, I do too, because I always wear pants with my tank top on the show.
Sure.
Sometimes I tuck it in to look like a bad guy from the film Roadhouse.
Exactly. I would tuck it into slacks.
Yes. Great. You're booked. I'm telling you, Dave Holmes came on and he wore his only tank top that he wore semi-lit in Miami Beach, and it's neon yellow and it says, "Bitch, I'm gay."
God damn it.
Steph Tolev came on with a tank tee, technically a muscle shirt, but it says, "My other ride is your mom."
Love it.
Mav Viola came on, and Mav has like a fucking Olympian's body.
Yeah.
She's amazing. These amazing shoulders, tattoos. She had to get high to do it because it's just like, I hate this. I feel like I look terrible. And it's like, we feel so silly, the two of us.
Yeah.
It's almost like
that's fantastic.
Imagine Meet the Press and everyone had to wear clown suits.
Yeah.
You feel so
the symbolism would be overwhelming.
But it's the thing of taking. It's not that we all need to be taken down a peg, but it's a fun exercise.
Yeah, no,
because everyone just starts just vomiting all this stuff they are embarrassed about.
What we were talking about.
Yeah.
Especially in comedy. There's the other interview on this podcast is Paul Myers.
Oh yeah,
who's got a book about John Candy coming out.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how
that trailer for that movie, I like wept.
Yes.
I wept in Mobile, Alabama. I'm in a coffee shop like and everyone's like, "Oh, he got some bad news over there.
Kill him."
He's crying. That's a soft man. Can't afford him.
We have that comedy used to be a vulnerable person with flaws.
Sure.
That was not afraid to make themselves look stupid.
Yeah.
And that's been eradicated.
Yes and no. Even those MMA guys, and I know them all. I'm like, I know you fucking cry at Toy Story 3, motherfucker. Sure. Don't you try that shit,
but it's just it's like people.
But I get it. Yeah, the facade.
The facade is like, you can't look stupid. Like, no, you have to look stupid.
And I love that these young comics coming up, they don't have like they're being we're steering back toward being nakedly honest and looking dumb because they realize the only way out is through, and the only way through is embarrassment.
Yeah.
You have to fucking do the silly thing. Cringe. You need cringe.
Yeah.
Cringe is the currency. You know?
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
We all. How many times have you and I bombed?
Yes. Yeah.
In the early days.
And it's so freeing.
Yes, God.
You
yeah.
know, there is it's, you know, I just spent a lot of time this year doing, if you listen to this podcast, I did a lot of all that David Lynch stuff.
Yeah.
And
kudos, man. It was fucking great.
I was, his house is for sale. We need to chip in.
So many friends.
It's only 50 million.
So many friends might have sent that listing. Like,
It's right over there. I mean, it's
yeah,
it's
I know.
4-minute drive. Yeah.
Jesus.
But the point was, like, he said, like, after Fire Walk with Me, he was like, there's freedom in a spectacular failure.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you know, and you just have, I tell this to my wife, I tell this to my kids, I tell this to my wife, you just got to get up, put on your shoes, keep going and do something else. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you made a mistake, that you failed, that you're vulnerable. It's
being
so,
like, that didn't work.
Yeah.
I really believed in this.
Yeah.
It didn't, you know.
Yeah.
It didn't work. But
it's and we are in this, it's arrested adolescence.
yeah. Yeah.
It's like a 15-year-old kid is not going to admit, boy, I have a lot of flaws.
No, and they have, but they'll find them out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's arrested adolescence.
For sure.
I don't know how else to put it. So,
Yeah.
is this available yet? Are you
it's
banking
out.
them? Okay,
It's out. They're all out. Yeah, just look up tank top socks.
and is there a theme outside of the tank top, or you just like, is it like talking about current events, or is it,
no, I want it to. It's kind of, to me, doing it, and the feedback I've got listening is kind of like, it's just a kind of glass of cold water on a hot day. It's kind of like your. I always feel like podcasts, good ones, and yours. Come on. No.
Boom.
Hey.
Boom.
No, podcasts like yours, they keep you company.
Yeah.
When you're driving, when you're working.
You feel like you know the person.
Yes, exactly. So with this, we just have a great conversation, and we don't really. We will be like, we'll mention modern events as like, well, we all know what's going on. There will be little asides.
I'm the same way,
but it's kind of. It's what bring, even when I say what comes to mind when you think of tank tops, because me, tank tops tucked in. I grew up in the 80s. You know, your tough kid would have a tank top cut off to show his stomach.
Sure.
A wildly gay look where, and these were very homophobic dudes, you know? So there's the dichotomy.
And again, it's like, you know, the homophobia gets right up
to the edge.
Homoerotic.
Right before kissing a man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it really does. Like,
yeah, but it's the kind of it's been an overused term, but the vulnerability is the freedom to expression, is the freedom to. So I haven't found it. The only theme I have is at one point we talk about what's your tucked in take, because to me a tucked in tank top is the craziest thing in the fucking world.
Sure.
So what's a take you've got right now that's wild, and people go, here's what I think, and it could be, you know, controversial. It could be a feeling someone has. It could be a thing, but it amounts to the guys in that were in. I go back a lot to Roadhouse and Patrick Swayze, who danced in every role he ever had, even as a bouncer, and the guys that were just in that Roadhouse with tightest jeans on imaginable, with a tank top tucked in, and being like, "This is the look. This is what I'm wearing tonight."
Well, that's your ticket to entry into the Double Deuce,
right? It's so gay, but those guys supposedly were not. So it's anyway.
Sure, no,
it's a fascinating thing.
It's amazing, and it's and we're talking about the Swayze.
Oh yeah,
the Swayze Roadhouse.
Yeah, the new one,
not the Gyllenhaal.
I love Gyllenhaal, but that movie was not it.
I love that stuff so much, but there is so much freedom. And I just watched Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh yeah,
which I hadn't seen in a long time. Yeah. And you know, you see Rocky Horror. Yeah, like everything. All of your problems can be solved. None of the discourse that we are inflicted upon today can be solved with a simple thing: mind your business.
Oh, that is everything.
Mind your business. Like I'm not going to.
Freedom our thing is freedom, right? America, that's our thing. Freedom is stay the fuck out of each other's business.
Yeah.
Let someone be free.
Yeah. I made, and this is 10 years ago, like terrible jokes. I can't even remember them.
Sure.
I'm sure they were today would be abysmal. And I got called out for it.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, you know what? You're right.
I knew, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I evolved from there. And then I say this now, I love seeing trans people in the wild because that means everyone's safe.
Yeah.
Because they are the most kicked around right now publicly.
Yes.
There are, other groups that have a little bit more weight on them societally and things, and we can get into that.
No, they are. They're the low rung of the totem pole
because they're such an easy target.
Right.
Such an easy target. And people don't like them because they have a problem within themselves, which is not their problem.
Yeah,
so it's like, anyway, that's like my little philosophy. I say, I love seeing them in the wild. Because it just means safe zone for everybody. We're all good.
I have relatives that are just like, I don't like it. And it's just like, you know what? You don't have to like it.
It doesn't affect you at all.
You don't have to like it. You also don't need to monitor it and follow it and catalog it.
Yeah.
And it's just
and
mind your
they
business.
hammer it. And of course, it comes down to women's sports. And sure, that's an issue we can talk about, but it is roughly 110,000th in terms of the shit we should be debating right now. Like, okay, that's an issue, but let's leave it to the localities and all that shit.
Why don't you talk about why the minimum wage hasn't been raised in 40 years?
Christ, the booming homeless population, people getting snatched up by masked guys cosplaying. That's my little, let me test this crowd out right now. A little line is, there's only one kind of trans people that I hate right now. ICE agents. You're not in the army. Why the fuck are you wearing that? You're not wearing a mask. You're not special forces.
That's great.
Stop it. You look like my fat uncle. You're not.
What
you
a great
didn't
joke.
go through. Boot camp would kill you. But like, that's the one.
Superman didn't make it out of boot camp. You always have to inoculate the audience. I used to do a bit about guns, and I would start it with like, look, before you get started, I own a gun because I live in a big, scary city, and I'm afraid the day might come when I have to kill my family.
Yeah, that joke.
But I like inoculate, and I do this thing, and I never mention the name of the president. I talk about people that like him, relatives I know that follow him. Because if you pay to see me, I want you to have a good time.
Yes.
And I don't want you to feel isolated.
Yeah.
But I did have a guy come up, you got to make more jokes about Biden.
Yeah.
Why? He's not the president.
No.
He's having a pudding.
And
just leave him alone.
Yeah, and neither one of those guys, Trump or Biden, make me laugh.
Yeah,
there's
they're not funny.
There's no joke I have about that.
Yeah.
About either one of those
but
guys.
I remember doing jokes about Clinton and Reagan, and people did not throw tantrums.
No, exactly. It's like I miss when we could argue and coexist.
Yeah.
No. Anyway,
you need to. But that's the whole thing. Just like mind your business.
Mind your bit. Stay out of each other's business.
Everyone should have to watch the Mr. Rogers documentary once a week.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
And if you're anti Mr. Rogers, you're anti-life.
Yeah.
You got to realize.
Yeah. And there was a huge right-wing push against Mr. Rogers because he said that everyone is special, and they thought that was the root of the culture. Is like what he meant was children need to feel that they deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with that, then you need to work that out with a special talking doctor.
And there's a guy that is talking about them, and it's King Friday. All these people are King Friday, and King Friday, every episode, by the end goes, shit, I should probably shut the fuck up.
And then uses those words.
Fuck me. Like, that's the one note. Mr. Rogers, King Friday should be drunk.
And what I love, two of the greatest things, like, nothing is what it seems.
Yeah.
One of the directors of Mr. Rogers, George Romero.
I mean,
his first directing job was Mr. Rogers Gets His Tonsils Out.
That is wild. I never knew that.
And the song Imagine was produced by Phil Spector.
Oh my God. But that makes sense. When you listen to it, the wall of sound.
Yeah.
That's, oh my God. Yeah. It's one of those things. I'm fascinated, but not surprised by either of those facts.
No,
not surprised at all.
But it's good to know, like, nothing's what you think. Nothing is what you think.
No.
It's all It's all gobbledygook. It's all gobbledygook. It's all gobbledygook. Just mind your business. Mind your business. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in the world you don't like that I don't like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not my business.
Yeah. But it's what you said. It's just like, well, there's a big business in that.
Yes.
Do you find, because we're talking about horror movies.
Let's do it. Let's get to that.
Do you find horror movies reflect their time?
Yeah.
Were there any movies this year where you go like, oh, this definitely came out of the current zeitgeist? I have one for sure.
I'm not up on a lot of modern
because
horror,
you have a 5-year-old.
Exactly. We were talking about that, about like, your bit about you love when you're friends with without kids, say how busy they are.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I'm like, I'm always
I was late for brunch.
You seen this series?
Is there still brunch?
I binged it in an afternoon. Like you watched a whole series.
Exactly.
What the Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to watch The Vast of Night for 4 years. I keep drifting.
I'm really into Alien Earth, and I've been.
Is it good?
I really enjoy it.
Good. I have to watch. A friend of mine is one of the writers.
It's not perfect, but in terms of like a good horror action with a bit of commentary, I think that is of this time because it's.
Are there xenomorphs in it?
There are xenomorphs, but there's it's the year 2120 where the entire Earth is owned by corporations. We don't have countries; we have companies. Yeah. So we live in the Amazon region, or they live in this region.
But it's also fiction.
Well, that would never happen.
There's a little fiction in the show as well.
Yeah. I mean, if I flash back to the Chuck Palahniuk in Fight Club, where he's like, these planets will have names like the State Farm planet.
Yeah.
We discover these things. So it's like.
Oh, and of course, the greatest thing about Fight Club, the term snowflake.
Yeah.
Written by a gay guy making fun of macho culture.
Yep.
And macho culture went,
adopted it.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Oh, well. The Matrix.
Yeah.
Trans women wrote that movie, guys. They came up with the blue pill and red pill thing. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry for that narrative disruptor.
Black people came up with all your favorite music.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yeah. You stole woke from them too.
Yeah. Yes, it's true.
But yeah, it's I wish, see, I still haven't, I'm friends with Zach who wrote it and directed, still have not seen Weapons.
The movie that I saw that made me think, oh, this is a product of its time.
Okay.
Like nobody's business is 28 Years Later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
For sure.
You were, I was listening to the one of your episodes, your recent episode, and you were talking about the plastic surgery thing.
Yeah.
And I just was like hollering in my car, like, what a great script piece.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so perfect. And also in Britain, there's a guy, I don't know his name, but he was a famous, like the Dick Clark of Britain, and he had long kind of white hair, but he was a weird looking famous pederast.
Oh, yes, right.
Now it's all come out. And
yeah, he was like the guy who was kissing everybody.
Yeah. He makes an appearance at an avatar of him basically makes an appearance at the very end of 28 Years Later. When was the last time you went to a movie theater?
With her to see like Bad Guys 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I think what was the last one?
I missed that.
Yeah.
Seeing every kid movie.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Well, we're now in the time of constant IP. So I've seen like the live Lilo and Stitch. I've seen Moana 2. They're okay.
Yeah.
But, it won't beat the first time we all watched like The Nightmare Before Christmas together.
Sure.
A wholly original idea.
Right. Sure.
This is just me being kind of snobby.
Sure.
Like this. But the kids' movies of my childhood were very groundbreaking. Goonies, E.T.
The Deer Hunter.
The Deer
Nice. My dad took us all to see
folks,
that.
That's what's called the rule of threes. Set up 2.
Okay, Goonies. Goonies came out in 85.
Oh, yeah.
85 or 86.
I don't know. Yeah.
I was 21, 22 years old.
Yeah,
I was not,
Sure.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I was too busy unsuccessfully trying to get laid.
Sure.
By and large. I did see it. You see the Goonies and everything is fine. It's always fun. And then that one character shows up.
Who, Sloth?
Sloth.
Oh, yeah. He's like in the first scene.
And you go, wait a minute.
Chained up in the first
you
scene.
go, wait a minute.
Yeah, let's hold on.
It's like Breakfast at Tiffany's when Mickey Rooney shows up.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, stop.
Wait.
What is this?
Yes.
What is happening in this movie?
Yeah. But it was a wild swing, and it's very...
It was a big swing.
It's a big swing.
It took a big swing.
Not in love with it, but I do love the motive of this guy who you watch. I remember as a child watching it and being like, I want to leave. I feel like crying. I'm so scared of this monster.
Yeah.
And then it goes on and you're like, he's not a monster.
Yeah, he's not a monster.
You know,
yeah.
it's
Yeah, no,
I
it's
don't
a
want to
good
say
story.
it's Frankenstein's monster, but
Sure.
in a sense it's this thing
Yeah.
of when you're seeing, but yeah.
But it isn't many people just, no, it's fine. No, that's good.
Yeah. No, make his eye droopier. Make his skin weirdly red and smoother. What? He looks like a boiled football. This doesn't make any sense.
He looks like when you get like a big blister on a pizza.
He does. He looks like, I don't know, make him look like a boil with a snaggletooth. Done.
Did you see, so we'll run down. Have you seen Sinners?
Yeah, Sinners I loved.
See, I thought it was fine.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like there's not a thing wrong with it.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sure.
But and this is like me kind of personally, sort of the bloodbath mayhem.
Sure.
I get bored with quick.
That's fair.
Because it's like I've seen Dead Alive.
Oh yeah.
And you're not gonna. It's like this is just you're trying to do that and Dusk Till Dawn. Like,
yeah.
I get it.
But I do the element of American history and the we talked about
and the hive mind thing was a great idea. There was tons of great ideas in it.
The idea of what a vampire is.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. I'm not a giant vampire guy. If you do it right, I love it. I'm still angry that they never made I Am Legend the way I want it to be seen, the real thing.
Sure.
This bullshit zombie shit, anyway.
Yeah.
But
the needlessly CGI.
it's just boring. It's boring. Put it in Manhattan. Put it in a small town, motherfucker. Put it in a neighborhood.
I believe the book is set in Altadena or Gardena. I think it's set in Gardena.
I think it's Gardena. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the tenet of it is he's so lonely, you know?
And he burns down all the houses around him. So he has a clear field of vision of them coming.
And then the hot chick neighbors are making out on his lawn.
Yeah, it's so great.
He's lonely and horny. It's great.
Yeah.
It turns out I just keep talking about lesbian vampires hooking up. You're like, can we move on? Jesus. No.
You actually just described life on the road.
Yeah, right. But I love the thing of like they kill you and absorb all your memories and all your history.
It was great. And they all like immediately can play a musical instrument.
Oh, and they love it. They're drawn towards music. They're drawn towards life. The comment on that. And I thought it was, I kind of went in with pretty high expectations, and I still for what I want.
No, I thought it was. I thought it was great, but
I
it was
get
just
exactly where you're going.
Yeah, it's like no, it was. But nowadays, it's just like the fact that something doesn't like outright suck. It's like I can't get over it.
Sure, yeah.
Like I really loved it,
but I loved it. Okay.
I loved the Fantastic Four. I was like,
okay,
and Superman. I was like, oh, this is great.
Cool.
I never once felt like this movie was flipping me off.
I love
punishing me for seeing it.
Nicholas Hoult, I love so much. So like, I want to.
He's so good.
But
see, now there's a movie that should be remade. Like, don't remake good movies, but remake movies that should have been better than they are. Renfield.
Yeah. Oh,
I want him and Nicolas Cage for the whole fucking movie. I don't care about Awkwafina and being a cop. She's a lovely person and a great actress.
I don't know.
I don't care about it.
I don't know if you can talk about it, but you should have my friend Ryan Ridley, who wrote it, and then they just took his script and, as in his words, ruined it.
Yes, so, I would love to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to him about it. Yeah,
one of the best writers I know. Anyway.
And Renfield, one of my favorite fictional characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
incredible.
If there are roles that, like, if I had that role, like, I'd be happy if I could just do that.
Sure.
David Naughton in An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Perfect role.
Oh, so good.
And the way Tom Waits plays Renfield in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
I love that. So more of that.
Yeah, exactly.
More of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's there are ways to do the IP thing. Let's do stuff that was done badly.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do that.
My favorite genre film this year was Presents.
Yeah. I watched Presents on a Plane, and
actually a really good movie to watch on a plane.
Absolutely. And I a little bit sick of the I think I mentioned before, the grief horror thing, where it's like the thing about the someone dealing
Grief
with
horror.
a loss, and because it's been done so much.
Yeah.
And I kind of I think it, not to be like you can't do it. I will never say that.
Yeah.
But I thought that movie did it so well, and it was so good at making you a fly on the wall, and not.
Yeah, that never got tiring.
No.
The trick never got tiring. The reveal, the gotcha, was inspired.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was just. It was like Sixth Sense. It was like, boy, you nailed it.
Did one of my favorite horror movies is Saint Maud.
What?
It's just about this girl,
Saint
Maud, who is deeply religious in, I want to say Ireland, but it might be England. And she is always talking to what she thinks is God. And there is a moment in that movie that just gets you. It's just, you didn't see it coming. And it's like that part in Presence. It doesn't happen at the very end, but it happens in this moment where I was like, I remember just having that feeling of like, oh, fuck, I'm so glad I watched all of this movie to get to this moment kind of thing, where that's so hard to do, where there's just a big, but that's what Presence has. Presence has so much good stuff, but there is that moment where, oh, fuck.
Have you ever heard of a movie called The Man from Earth?
Heard of it, never seen it.
Okay, me neither, but the guy was telling me about it.
Okay.
Apparently it's about like this early man.
Yeah.
With random perfect genes.
Okay.
Like, and he's now like 300,000 years old. He's just perfect genes, doesn't die. And he has to move like every 10 years because it gets weird.
Oh, funny.
And it turns out that he is what we think of as Jesus.
Oh, wow. He was the actual.
Yeah,
Jesus.
but he was just like Sermon on the Mount. He goes like, I was just talking to some people.
That's so funny.
I would happen to be standing in this place completely randomly. People around me.
He has this wisdom of near eternal perspective.
Yeah, but he's just like, no,
we got to live together, guys.
Yeah, and they were like, what about the resurrection? It took 3 fucking days to move a rock. I'm sorry.
That's great.
Yeah, it all makes sense, and it's really it's a great idea.
Yeah, I love shit like that. Like the Henry Rollins, he never died. Do you ever see that?
No.
He basically is this guy. He's like this aging punk rocker, but he's been around for thousands of years, and he was the guy that smacked Jesus. That in the Bible, Jesus was carrying the cross, and one soldier, particularly mean-spirited, came up and socked him, and God cursed him with eternal life. So supposedly that guy's still around.
Well, that makes sense.
There's this guy, and he's in a 1-bedroom apartment, and it's not a
what a great
perfect
idea,
movie, but it's great because Rollins, he's of course furious, because he can't die, and he has these fits in public because he's like,
it would be awful. Yeah, it would be awful.
Yeah.
Here's a weird. So when my kids were little, their mom and I would take them to the Kealani in Maui.
Oh, yeah.
That was our hotel.
Cool, yeah, sure.
Always go to the Kealani.
Mm-hmm.
Usually in the summer or between Christmas and New Year's.
Is that in Kihei?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Couple years ago, I'm doing a show in Maui, and they put us up at the hotel next to the Kealani. I think it's Four Seasons.
Okay. Yes, because we've stayed at the Andaz,
right,
a little more north, but same strip.
Yeah,
same
strip.
beach strip. Yeah,
and it's by and large, this is the hotel that you see in the second season of The White Swan. It's mostly the Kealani, and this.
White Lotus.
Yes,
right.
White Swan is something else. So I walk over to the Kealani. But it's between Christmas and New Year's because it's a New Year's show. But I'm alone. I'm no longer married to the woman I was married to at that time.
Okay.
My kids are grown and they're not with me.
Yeah.
And I like, this is what a ghost feels like. Because I'm walking around and I see my life from 10 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
And I look in the kid pool
Yep.
and my kids aren't there,
Right.
but I'm still there, and I completely feel like a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Walking around this hotel, I felt this awful. I felt awful.
Yeah.
Because all you feel is loss.
Uh-huh.
It's grief and loss. My kids aren't little anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I feel
It's not
that.
2007.
And my kid is 5.
Yeah.
I'm looking at pictures of her when she was 3 and going, hey.
Oh,
yeah. It's
brutal.
Someone said that to be a parent is to be in a state of constant grief. And
Yes.
just hearing that made me go, oh, yeah, cool. So I'm normal.
I have so much
Okay.
video of the girls.
Yeah.
I cannot watch it.
No, I know.
I can't
know.
watch it.
Yeah.
They like looking at it.
Sure.
I can't watch it.
It's fun. She finds video of her as a baby delightful and hilarious. So I like that makes me kind of go, oh yeah. And she does. She says to me, "Don't be sad, Dada." Stop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm just being I'm being indulgent here and not a
Sure.
healthy way.
Yeah.
Really.
But it is. Yeah. It was really, really it was a really weird feeling.
I went to the 100th anniversary of the Performing Arts the division of my high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had this thing in my head where I'm like, we were talking about narcissists before. Here's mine, where I was like, I'm probably in the top 20 most famous there. And I'm like, okay, it's Suzanne Summers. It's Beverly Cleary. It's Ndamukong Suh plays for the Lions. And
Right.
I'm in there. And it was a whole thing. And like, I wanted to submit a video, but by the time I asked, they had enough, evidently. And so I'm sitting through this thing and it was incredible. But I also was kind of the whole time in my head going, but me,
Sure.
and that was my kind of feeling like a ghost and walking
Yeah.
around the school and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we
Can't do it.
You cement yourself a little bit in high school. I don't know why. At least I do, because it was this time of just so much insecurity, but also I was performing in these massive productions and going, oh,
Yeah.
this is what I want to do with my life. And it was what the kids call ego death. It was like a perfect thing of ego death of, I don't matter in this regard. And why would it matter if they showed a video of me saying, thanks guys, and here's me at the Atlanta Improv or what I'm doing. It's just,
Doesn't matter. But I get the cementing thing. But I cemented in 1990.
okay. That was when I was in high school.
Okay, maybe it was the year for everybody. Yeah, but it was just when I moved down here,
Mm-hmm.
and
From San Francisco?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was hot shit.
Sure.
I was new and loud.
2007
Yeah.
to 2011 or so. That was my hot shit streak. Right
Yeah.
there.
And it was just like, and I was new and cool.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that we were talking about, Lynch, like Twin Peaks was on.
Oh, yeah.
And like the biggest show on television is a weird thing that I like.
Yeah.
And it was like everything.
Two of them, Twin Peaks and X-Files is out there
and
too,
X-Files
right?
started like 2 years later.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And it was just this weird, bizarre period
Yeah.
where I thought, oh, this is going to be the rest of my life. I'm like,
Yeah.
hot shit.
I'm always going to be validated
Yeah.
by these offers rolling in and people wanting to work with me.
And that's where
me
that's where I started. That is when I started to dress the same way I still dress,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. My personality and style has definitely evolved since then.
Sure.
I think just something smacked me there that I just never really recovered from. I mean, there have been other eras. My moving to LA was a huge one.
Right.
I do love the fact that I'm not really nostalgic about Chicago, but it's where I spent my 20s and it's where I became a comedian.
Right.
And it was just such a stupid era that it just did. But I think coming here and actually making a living at it and going, I'm going to be okay,
Yeah.
at least for now, and not have to wait tables, which I did for 10 years. That was a high I've never recovered from. And you still, the cool thing now is that I have the kid and my wife is successful representing comedians and writers who are far more successful than me.
Yeah.
And I don't have any jealousy about that.
Yeah. No, that once you have a kid, I mean, for me, as I've said many a times, the first thing I thought when I had a kid was, thank God.
Yeah.
It's not about me anymore.
Oh, absolutely. And I watched my wife sit 4th row up in the aisle at the Emmys, most recently Emmys, sitting next to Rob Delaney, who she reps,
Right.
who's in
Everything,
now.
yeah.
And, you know, but I was just so proud of both of them.
Yeah.
Whereas if we were just the old us dating, I'd be at home drunk and furious. I know I would be.
Yeah.
And I would tell myself I wasn't drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
sitting there on my 9th beer and just being like, ugh. You know what I mean? This fucking business. Remember, I was a nice guy, but fuck this. You know, and I would probably be kind of shitty to her when she come home.
Sure, yeah.
So it's like, I got a lot to work on. I'm in therapy and stuff, and I definitely have an anger problem and all that, la. But
yeah.
it's
totally,
nice to just have, I kind of feel like people don't change, but they do get better or worse.
Yeah. Well put.
You know?
They either calcify or they break down and grow. Yeah. I always, and getting back to the Henry Rollins, Eternal Life would be horrible.
Worst curse. Got to be the worst curse.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a friend who we both were into the Anne Rice novels.
Yeah.
And I love that in the Garden District where she grew up in New Orleans, there's this, I think it's steel, but there's no writing on it. It's a tomb and nobody knows whose it is. And it's been around, no one knows how long.
Uh-huh.
And she grew up near it and she would just go to it and be like, the fuck is in there? And that's where she got the idea from.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
And so, but my friend just would just tossed off. I would take it. I would take the dark gift. I'm like, what the? You haven't thought about this, Brian.
The first word is dark. I would take the dark gift.
You wouldn't, you know. Anyway,
that's okay. So I mean, I've never even heard of any of these movies.
Oh, let's go.
I haven't seen The Shrouds.
I haven't heard of that.
It's a Cronenberg movie.
Oh, okay.
I want to see that.
Cool.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Final Destination Bloodlines. No interest.
I get tired of it. It's just waiting for someone to die gruesomely. That's
Yeah,
it.
I don't like.
That's the whole story.
Yeah, I don't like movies that I like. You and I versus. I like stories. I like a great twist and a thing like, oh, I didn't think of that. What a brilliant thing. I don't care about death. It's just murder porn.
It's all teenagers, and it's been a trope since Friday the 13th. But if you watch Friday the 13th, you find out. I mean, if you haven't seen it, sorry, I'm gonna fucking spoil it. It's a woman whose son died drowning because everyone was smoking weed and fucking.
Yeah,
and that's why she kills people who smoke weed and fuck.
Yeah,
at the camp.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense when it's revealed that it's you watch and we all watched it and went, my mom is the killer. You know, because we were all these kids. And it's just a genius idea.
So if I want to get my fill of tank top talks, where do I go?
Right now, just Google it. Because I have it on, it's based on Acast, but it's available on any streamer you can think of.
Okay.
Even ones based internationally.
Do you prefer people see the video version or the audio version?
I prefer people enjoy it however they want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I put it on YouTube because I think if
people go to YouTube,
gun to my head, if I have to decide, I would say listen. Yeah. Because I put it on YouTube because I know people listen to it. But
I like the audio experience.
Me too. I don't generally like watching, but people do. And so that's why I put it on there. And my engineer, Max, an editor, he does all that stuff and he puts it on that. So it's like, it's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube page.
Great.
As I speak, I don't think I have a link on my website for it, which needs to be remedied. But at the same time, I don't think people visit websites. You know what I mean?
I don't think so
it's
either.
Not. It's good to have a base.
Unless you get like tickets or
and
something.
A link tree. Yeah, generally speaking. I'll put the links up, and if you have a preferred a listening platform, it's on there.
Yeah, great.
I've done the diligence,
yeah.
So it's on there. And if someone's listening to this and they can't find it on theirs, hit me up.
Yeah, and if people want to come see you live out in the country, where do they go? MattBraunger.com, follow you on socials?
MattBraunger.com, all my dates are always on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the main thing, like the thing that actually I make money from and do as a business. You can find that on my website. I'm definitely pushing Tank Top Talks because I'm excited about it and it's a new thing. But it is right now a labor of love. I'm throwing money in a hole.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? I have a Patreon. I don't have any paid subscribers, and that's fine. I'm building towards that.
You just started.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I used to pay people to do all my social media. Now I do it, and I take that money and I put it in the podcast because it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Anyway, same exact thing.
That's my pivot.
Yeah, that was a luxury that I was like, well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would like to start making money to the level that I can justify it again.
Sure.
But I have a daughter, it's
it's
not just me in the house. It's not just me.
MattBraunger.com, MattBraunger.
Correct. Yes. And then my socials generally are at Braunger. So just like as in Matt Braunger.
Oh, very good.
Except on TikTok, which I think is like real Matt Braunger or something silly.
Yeah.
Because my name was somehow already taken. But like
Matt underscore
you'll
Braun
find me.
XX215.
Clownpenis.fart.
Yeah. Clownpenis.fart.
You know that sketch?
I
Saturday
do.
Night Live?
That's what it
It's like
is.
so and so Nationwide Insurance or something like that. It's like we waited a little long to get a domain. So for life insurance needs, clownpenis.fart.
It's also
for funeral expenses, clownpenis.fart.
Because my kids, all their emails addresses just like their name at Gmail.
Yeah.
But the people that first got email addresses,
oh yeah,
like all our original emails were like, I'm still Captain Fart at Earthlink.
Yeah. Shithead Magoo.
Yes. Matt Braunger, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, thanks for having me on. Always
Thank
great.
you. I'm going to put this right up.
All right.
The hurry and scurry of modern life is getting a lot of us down. Or maybe we're just getting soft. For here's a shop, a department of a leading metropolitan store, dedicated to those who just can't take it. It's a sleep and comfort shop, and it's exclusively devoted to people looking for comfort, relaxation, and sleep. This happy couple, for instance, have a real problem because the wife sinks out of sight on a soft mattress, and hubby there floats like a cork on any other kind. Well, here's the sleep shop's answer. A mattress with one side soft and the other side hard. And appropriately enough, it's called the Jack Sprat mattress. Here's another victim of the modern age. This chap's a confirmed pillow puncher. Worn to a frazzle by the day's problems, he battles it out with the pillow all night long. He's been fighting his pillow for years, and so far he's lost every round. What he needs is the new cutaway pillow, which curves around the neck and positively will not bunch around the shoulders. One trial with the cutaway type, and he's finished with pillow pummeling forever. The Sleep Shop offers all these devices for one purpose, to make you more comfortable and relaxed, so it will be easier to sleep. Well, that takes care of our nightlife.
Safe and restful sleep, sleep, sleep. They're true tales from Weirdsville. Tales from Weirdsville. And they're true.
Can your heart stand the shocking facts?
We all do it. At the end of the day, we all lie down and go to sleep. The average person spends 26 years of their life in an unconscious state. 26 years. Sleep has been with us since we crawled out of the primordial pond. And while some animals don't sleep in the way that we do normally, flies, ants, cockroaches, even they enter a period of psychological dormancy. Dolphins are mammals, but they would die if they slept the way other mammals do, because they need to be alert to monitor their respiration. So over the eons, they have evolved to where they sleep one brain hemisphere at a time. But one thing is true. For as long as human beings have been sleeping, they have been having problems sleeping. And although it's essential to a person's physical and mental health, sleep today is grossly undervalued. Overscheduling, too much coffee, smartphones, and a billion other aspects of modern life all work together to deprive us of sleep. The most common sleep disorders are insomnia, when either you can't fall asleep or you fall asleep and then wake up right after and you can't get back to sleep, and obstructive sleep apnea, which is an obstruction of the airway. You can't breathe. People with obstructive sleep apnea can wake up literally hundreds of times a night. And this prevents the body from reaching a state of deep sleep. That's why people with sleep apnea often wake up feeling exhausted and unrested, even though they think they've slept through the night. So those are the big two problems, but there are almost 100 other sleep disorders. And many of those fall under the category of parasomnias, which are separate from other sleep disorders in that they feature, among their symptoms, abnormal behavior. This brings us to the case of Mel Abel. As reported in the New York Times Magazine, Mel Abel was a tall, quiet, somewhat droll individual. And then one night, at 4:24 a.m., he started talking in his sleep. Quite aggressively, in fact, as recorded. "Quit using the goddamn bowl for banging like that. Quit it now. Get the hell out of here. Go on. That's about 4 times this morning, I told you. I don't know if you're that deaf or that dumb or which. Goddamn continuously. What the hell are you looking for, a walleye?" One night, Mel had a dream that he was struggling with a deer, trying to break its neck. He was woken up by his wife, who was screaming, "Mel, what in the world are you trying to do?" He woke up to find that he had one hand on the top of his wife's head and the other hand on her chin, and he was desperately trying to twist her head off. To understand parasomnias, we have to understand the phases of sleep. There are 2, rapid eye movement and then non-rapid eye movement. Non-rapid eye movement is the one that comes first. Step 1, you transition from wakefulness to sleep. You're drowsy, you're fading in and out. Stage 2, deeper sleep, your breathing slows down, your heart rate slows down. Step 3 is deep sleep, and this is what recharges your body. Minimal brain activity and muscle relaxation. The second stage is called rapid eye movement sleep, or REM, not the band. This is sleep which is characterized by, guess what? Rapid eye movement, increased brain activity, vivid dreaming. Throughout the night, you cycle back and forth between these 2 phases, each one lasting roughly an hour and a half. One of the most important things that your body does during rapid eye movement sleep is a thing called atonia, muscle paralysis. That's why when you dream that you're running or you're riding a bike, you don't actually run or jack your legs all over the bed. Have you ever been half asleep and you tried to move your body but you can't? That's called sleep paralysis. And all it is your brain is waking up before your body has fully rid itself of the atonia. In olden times, this was called demonic possession. There's a guy named Cal Pope. He comes from a long line of popes, and he lived in a suburb outside of Minneapolis, one of my favorite towns. Now, Cal was from the greatest generation. He was a World War II veteran. Like a lot of World War II veterans, Cal Pope came home from the war and never mentioned it. Right or wrong, it is what it is. One night, this is in 1979, his wife Rowena was woken up out of a deep sleep to find that her quiet, mild-mannered husband was kicking the shit out of her. Literally. To quote, "His feet were just like hammers, bang, bang, bang. It lasted about a minute, but it seemed like forever. He was asleep. I asked him when he woke up what in the world was happening, and he said, I don't know." Cal later said that he realized he'd been having a dream about an intruder entering his and Rowena's bedroom, and that in the dream he was trying to get rid of him. As Rowena told journalist Chip Brown, again, this is in the New York Times Magazine, quote, "This was the beginning of 9 years of hell. Night after night, Cal Pope would kick and shout in his sleep. The episodes began to take a toll on the house, not to mention Cal's body. He would knock pictures off the wall. He headbutted a dresser that Rowena's mother owned and put a crack into it. He punched a hole in their bedroom wall, broke one of his own toes, busted up and bloodied his knuckles repeatedly. Obviously, this became a huge problem for their marriage. For one thing, at Rowena's insistence, for her own safety, Cal had to sleep in a different bedroom. But Cal was asleep during all of this, so it was his wife that was bearing the brunt of the stress. She's the one that had to be the bad guy. Cal was asleep. He had no idea what was going on. Oh, sure, he'd wake up with cut knuckles and a hole in the wall by the bed, but he had no memory of how it happened. All right, remember Mel Abel, the other guy? The guy that thought his wife was a deer? Well, Mel Abel also lived in Minneapolis. And the deer strangling story made the local news. I'm not sure how. Anyway, Rowena Pope saw the story about Mel Abel and called the Minnesota Sleep Clinic. Cal spent 2 nights in their sleep lab, hooked up to gizmos and being observed. And hey, what do you know? They discovered that he had a problem. Cal was diagnosed with an REM behavior disorder. Other signs of REM behavior disorders include singing too loudly to Don't Go Back to Rockville and thinking you know the words to It's the End of the World as We Know It. Thank you! Ever since she was a teenager, Maureen Stralow would wake up in the morning and find food in her bed, or what was left of it. Breadcrumbs, peach pits, pork chop bones. She worked really hard to stay in shape while she was awake, but while she was asleep, all bets were off. She once woke up with a terrible taste in her mouth and discovered that she had made a sandwich out of beef bouillon cubes while asleep. So here's the question. Are parasomnias strictly neurochemical, or are they psychological as well? As Chip Brown asks in his article, are you acting out a dream or dreaming out an act? One patient at the Minnesota Sleep Center slid out of bed after an hour of sleep every night and crawled around the floor like a cat. Now, was this strictly a sleep disorder? Or was it a subconscious behavioral reaction? Was Chip Pope's nighttime kicking purely a result of brain chemistry? Or was it a PTSD response stemming from something that happened during his service in World War II? And these questions are not just academic. Sometimes it's something for a jury to decide. Which brings us to the case of Albert Terrell. Sherman? Set the way back to 1846. Albert Terrell was 25 years old when his father died, leaving Albert the head of a successful shoe manufacturing company in Boston. Albert had a dutiful wife named Prudence and 2 lovely children. He was, for all intents and purposes, an upstanding citizen. At least he was, until a fateful trip to the nearby port town of New Bedford, or New Bedford, as it is pronounced there. Albert Terrell's trip to New Bedford led him down the wayward path. It was there he met a young woman named Maria Pickford, and the two began a torrid affair. Well, affair might not be the correct word. An affair is something you carry out in secret. It's clandestine. And Albert and Maria were anything but. Albert Terrell went to New Bedford, met Maria Pickford, and just stayed in New Bedford. He forgot all about his family, his wife, his kids, his business. Finally, responsibilities demanded that he return to Boston, and when he did, he brought Maria with him. He put her in a nearby apartment and lived there. Now, this would be brazen and outlandish, even by today's standards, inasmuch as he never really talked about it with his wife or anybody else. He just up and did it. One day, Albert's brother-in-law, Nathaniel Bailey, paid Albert a visit in his and Maria's apartment and begged him to please come to his goddamn senses. Albert, you have a family to support, a business to run. Albert agreed with everything his brother-in-law said, but he didn't do anything about it. He could not quit Maria Pickford, which is not to say that they were the perfect couple. They fought constantly and violently. The thing is, they made up just as, let's say they both shared an untethered exuberance for life. So much so that in September of 1845, Albert and Maria were kicked out of their apartment by the owners of the building. They just enjoyed life too much. Imagine if Keith Moon as a guy met Keith Moon as a girl and they carried on Keith Moonly. By now, Prudence had it, understandably, and had Albert arrested for adultery, which you could do in those days. He reached a plea deal. He was a man of means. He paid a fine and promised not to commit any further crimes for 6 months. And most importantly, vowed to stay away from Maria Pickford, which he did for an entire day. An entire day he spent pissing and moaning about not being with Maria Pickford. The following month, in October of 1845, the apartment where Albert and Maria were now staying was set on fire. And when the fire brigade arrived, they found Maria Pickford dead on her bed with her throat slit. Albert Terrell was nowhere to be found. His brother-in-law, Nathaniel Bailey, did report seeing him earlier that day and said that he seemed, quote, out of sorts. A man who ran a nearby livery stable told the police that he saw Albert Terrell and spoke with him, and that Terrell seemed to be drunk at the time. Unbeknownst to everyone, Albert was by now on board a ship and had gotten the hell out of Boston. But the ship docked in New York 4 months later, and Albert was arrested for murder, or as I prefer to pronounce it, murder. Now you're probably wondering what this has to do with parasomnias. Well, we're getting to that part now. Rufus Choate began investigating Albert Terrell, and soon wondered if, during the time of the murder and the subsequent fire, arson, was Albert Terrell in charge of his faculties? Was he even awake? Albert Terrell, it was learned, had a history of sleepwalking. And this was aggressive sleepwalking. He did stuff that was a lot more complicated than just getting out of bed, walking into the living room, and lying down on the couch. Once, when Terrell was a boy, he got up out of bed, opened his window, and climbed out onto the roof, where he stood on the ledge and seemingly contemplated jumping. His father managed to get him back inside, but when he was asked about it the following morning, Albert Terrell had no memory of it whatsoever. His nocturnal roamings got so bad, his parents had to lock him into his room at night. Once, when he was 16, he got up, harnessed a horse, and rode it to his uncle's house, all in his pajamas, unconscious, with no memory the next morning of how he got to where he was, or why he was even there. Even Prudence, his jilted wife, testified that one night, while Albert was dead asleep, he tried to choke her. Rufus Choate implored the jury, if Albert Terrell killed Maria Pickford in his sleep, he could not be held responsible for the crime, because he quite literally did not know what he was doing. And the jury agreed. Albert Terrell walked out of court a free man. Flash forward to 1997. Greg Coons is in bed sleeping. He is woken up by the sound of screaming. He looks out his window and sees the body of his neighbor, Yarmia Falater, floating face down in her swimming pool, surrounded by a dark cloud of blood. He calls the police. They show up. Yarmia Falater had been stabbed 44 times with a hunting knife. Inside the house, the police found her husband, Scott Falater, in his pajamas, covered in blood, wandering around the house in bleary-eyed confusion. According to the police, he didn't have any idea why they were there. He didn't know where his wife was, or why he was covered in blood. His defense? Thanks to the precedent set by Rufus Choate in 1848, sleepwalking, or as it was now known, in fancy court cases, non-insane autism. Scott Falater also had a history of childhood sleepwalking. Clinical studies have shown us that sleepwalking can be triggered by a number of different things. Stress, too much caffeine, too much alcohol, a lack of sleep. And Scott Falater qualified. He was under a ton of stress at work because a major project that he was in charge of was not coming together. He wasn't sleeping enough. He was taking caffeine pills to stay alert. This was a perfect storm. That was the defense's case. The prosecution argued that yes, while it is easily proven that Scott Falater had a history of sleepwalking, they could not prove that he was sleepwalking that night. In fact, his actions seemed far too complex for someone sleepwalking. He hushed his barking dog. He put a Band-Aid on a cut and then went into the garage, put on gloves, and used them to drag his wife's body into the swimming pool. He then changed out of his bloody clothes, put on his pajamas, and went back to bed. This activity took nearly an hour. Most sleepwalking episodes last only a fraction of that time. He was only woken up when the police arrived. Scott's trial lasted a month. The jury deliberated for 1 day. The verdict? Guilty. 2 men. 2 nearly identical crimes. 2 nearly identical defenses. 1 walks free. 1 sits in prison as we speak. Well, good night.
And now, on with the show.
It's a hot dog day of summer, sun-dappled day, high above the Mulholland Drive view shelf. Actually, it's not sun-dappled at all. It's sun-blaring. You go outside and you feel like a 7-Eleven hot dog. You're just rolling around. But it's still beautiful here in sunny Southern California, the People's Republic of California, in the former United States. And my guest today is a good buddy and an old friend. One of those people that I still go like, hey, I know that guy. We're actually personal friends. I believe you are currently ensconced in one of my favorite cities on earth, Berkeley, California. Is that correct?
Yeah, just north of Berkeley. I'm Paul Myers, by the way. Hi.
I was just going to introduce you.
I thought you were.
I was going to. I'm a professional.
My mama raised me to introduce myself. So,
this is the author Paul Myers, who I believe the last time Paul and I spoke, we talked about your book about Todd Rundgren, I believe.
Maybe it was the Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall book, Todd Rundgren, then the Kids in the Hall.
So we've talked several times.
And then in life we've talked as well.
Yes. Well, I will say this without kissing up to the host. Just to do the interview, just to have a chance to talk to you is always great.
Yeah, that's always
you're one of my favorite. One of my favorite people, and I swear I tell my wife I'm always holding up clips from reels from Instagram of your bits, and I go, I just like the sound of his voice sometimes. There's like 4 comics that I like. I will say John Mulaney's one of them. When I hear John Mulaney say anything, John Mulaney can say, and I answered the phone, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. But there's a way you say like the bit about the chimp ripping off the person's face. There's just the way you say it that I'm like, I'm dying the minute you start going into a process, Yeah,
it's with me. George Carlin's so imprinted on my comedic software. I'm so in his rhythms, and I find it very comforting. I wrote something the other day that was just purely, I was just like, oh, this is a George Carlin bit. This is just like a purely rhythmic thing,
I think artists can hear. I think artists can hear their own influences, maybe sometimes even more than the audience. Because
for sure.
I will think of it like, paper mache, where they have a balloon inside the thing.
Yep.
But you put stuff on top. And so people hear the stuff on top, but you know what the balloon is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's also, Quentin Tarantino talks about this, the music of dialogue. Like, again, we're going to get into music. Mike Love complaining, what does columnated ruins domino mean? 1, it doesn't matter. And 2, it's obvious what it means. Old buildings crumbling. Don't be a douchebag.
Yeah. Also, get Van Dyke Park's name out of your motherfucking mouth. Yeah. No, exactly.
Now, you can argue whether or not Van Dyke Parks and Brian Wilson should have been writing together. Maybe Tony Asher was a better compliment. That's a totally different argument.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice versus Surf's Up? I mean, it's like I'm not sure.
Apples and oranges.
I mean, and then let's put it. Brian didn't really write songs like that without him. No. Who wrote Johnny Carson, though? Who's the lyricist on that one?
Yeah, those are...
he speaks in such a manly tone.
And also, Well, there is. This is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Busy doing nothing. I also think
I
it's
love
just
that
like
song.
the fact that he wrote that song, just like what is the song about? A boring day from a period of my life when every day was a boring day.
My life, man. Like, okay, so I have ADHD, and I honestly had it diagnosed by doctors for real. But when I first was getting sort of well, as they say, whatever that is, I had really gotten deep into the Good Vibrations box set of the Beach Boys, and Busy Doing Nothing. I had never really listened to it. This is like almost 30 years ago. I was like, oh my God. And I ended up writing a song, kind of a love song. I'm not sure if it's a good song, but it was called On Paper. And it was about me making a case to a girl about why she should be with me, but I lost the pieces. I lost the list. and I thought that was almost
great.
Direct influence, you know.
That's great.
A direct influence of Brian Wilson was, you know, I can make a case. I prioritize the pros and cons, but I don't know where I put the list.
Yeah,
you know, and it's anyway. But back to what we're here to talk about.
The afternoon was filled up with phone calls.
Yeah.
But your new book is called John Candy: A Life in Comedy, or as you would say, comedy.
Why would I say that?
Because you're
Is that
Canadian.
the Canadian pronunciation?
Yeah, comedy.
Comedy.
Comedy. I say people think I'm Canadian sometimes because I'll say out.
Yeah.
It's a combination of being from Massachusetts, living in California for a million years, and spending a lot of time with Rob Cohen. And
yes,
I
Rob
just
Cohen
kind
from
of
Calgary.
Calgary
represent.
I just kind of absorb it.
And of course, I know Rob Cohen because that's the other rule of Canadians.
Is that
is
you
like
all know
somehow
each other.
you know each other. Like I know Dave Foley, like I know Mark McKinney. You know, like of course. I will say this about the northeastern United States. You know, Vermont and Quebec are like almost the same place at times. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, in Vancouver, the Couve and Northern California are very similar.
And I lived in Vancouver, and I knew that Seattle and Portland were kind of sister cities in a weird,
absolutely. It just tumbled down,
Cascadia kind of way.
Yeah. Here's a weird thing that's unrelated. Have you ever seen the film? This is unrelated to anything we're talking about, but you'll know why I'm asking. Have you ever seen the film Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me?
I have, for some reason, never have.
Okay.
Even though I was a big fan of the series.
This T-shirt is from the movie. It's the name of a diner in the movie, Hap's Diner.
Right.
And it was released 33 years ago, the day before yesterday. So it's been on my mind. But there is a scene, because it takes place in northern Washington, where they go over the border. And there's a scene that says, "Welcome to Canada." And then you just pan down and it's debauchery. It's this bar called the Red Room, and it's just like a sleazy fuckhole. And it's just "Welcome to Canada."
But a liberal classical
Gomorrah of the North.
Dante's Inferno. Yeah. It's hilarious. Which brings me to Canadian Bacon, the John Candy film.
Because, the John Candy film.
Because you're crossing the border in that movie. There's definitely, they play a lot with Michael Moore's perception of Canada.
Right.
And I think John Candy plays an American sheriff. So it's like a very interesting combination. Yeah. And Dan Aykroyd is, of course, there as a Canadian highway patrolman.
Well, your new book is about John Candy. It's called John Candy: A Life in Comedy. Being a comedy nerd from Canada, obviously he meant so much to you. And this book focuses on the period of time from the 70s to the late 80s.
Yeah.
In terms of the focus of his comedic work.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, it's when we both came of age in terms of our music and comedy knowledge and personal life. It's an age of comedy that's over, I fear, in terms of, comedy. We had comedy stars, and comedy was huge, and it wasn't to talk about like what Mark Maron has been talking about, the sort of the hyper aggressive bro, aggro aspect of comedy was really non-existent. And John Candy was the perfect example of what you and I think that comedy should be. A vulnerable person who punches up.
Yeah.
And John is a member of a long line of, I'm going to say this really bluntly and grossly, but it really affected him, so it's worth talking about, fat comedians.
Yeah. Big guys. Yeah.
From Fatty Arbuckle, the falsely accused, to Curly from the Stooges, Oliver Hardy, and then there was John Belushi, John Candy, and Chris Farley. Mm-hmm. And those were three people that seemed to be people that couldn't wait to die.
You mean in their comedy?
In their comedy and in the way they lived. I know that John seemed to be the one that was the most health aware. He was not the drug addict that John and Chris was.
That Belushi and Farley. Yeah.
I only knew one of those people. John was a different animal, but they all picked up each other's torch. You know, John Candy loved John Belushi, and when John Belushi passed, John Candy sort of inherited his career. And then Chris Farley inherited John Candy's career.
I see what you're saying.
It's an odd stagger. It's an odd stagger. But John Candy was not. He wasn't a drug addict. He wasn't.
No. He drank. Yeah. He drank. You know, the good old fashioned. Drinking after work kind of guy.
Yeah.
And sometimes drinking on the way to work, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, well, you talk about in the book how he on the set of a movie was, you know, he was one of those guys that, you know, always spoke up for the most disadvantaged, always, you know, wanted everybody to get paid, was not a classist at all, looked everybody in the eye, talked to everybody, made sure people got paid. And we're skipping way ahead and I want to go back to his origins, but on his last film, Wagons East, which was shot in Durango, Mexico.
Yeah.
The thing that he had a very difficult time on the shoot. And one of the things that he complained about was seeing the poverty in the area unrelated to the film.
Yeah.
You know, that he was a real empathetic human being. He was born on Halloween.
Yeah, that's you don't get better than that.
Now, but you don't have Halloween in Canada the way we have down here, or is it getting better?
I think they do now, but I know we did Halloween. I did it in school, like when I was a kid. Like I would dress up as, you know, back when you could go out with a white sheet on your head and say you were a ghost and you wouldn't get the people suspecting the worst about you.
Yeah. I'm the ghost of a Klansman. I have two sheets on.
Exactly. Well, one year I actually went to a textile store looking for cloth, and all I could find was red, green, and gold cloth. So I said I was a reggae ghost. And
that's great.
Well, you know, I mean, again, I told you I did take 3 Second City workshops. So hey,
yeah, exactly. You're thinking on your feet.
But back to they had Halloween, and he knew it. He knew Halloween, like, and you know, when your name's Candy and you're born on Halloween,
right?
You know, I mean, it's
and he was a big personality. He was big in high school, very popular. 6'3". He was a big guy.
Yeah, and football player. Like he wanted to be a football player, and like so many great entertainment stories, another career ended, allowing him to have this career. Right. You know,
he hurt his knee, I think.
Yeah, like very big, in a very big way, to the point where he also couldn't join. He tried to join the U.S. Army.
This is the craziest thing. To lose weight.
Yeah.
This Canadian man tried to join the U.S. Marines to lose weight. And this was, I believe we were still in Vietnam at this point.
Yes, it was. It was during the Vietnam War. And
possibly the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, and a counselor at his Catholic high school, Father Ted or something, they took him aside and said, listen, you don't have to do this. Like, you know, Metrical shakes. You don't have to do this, like whatever, Weight Watchers.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And it's ironic, I think, because I don't think that was, that ends up being part of the story of Stripes. His character in Stripes joined the Marines to lose weight. So I know he brought that truth to it, because he had that in his story. But I believe the script was written without them knowing that. And so he plays, the lean, mean, wants to be a lean, mean fighting machine.
I don't, it's, again, it's interesting of the John Belushi, John Candy, Chris Farley. I don't know if Belushi or Farley were as concerned about if they had that, and I'm saying this as somebody who has it more than all three of them, that vanity about their appearance.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never heard Chris concerned about his weight in terms of.
Yeah, I think he was concerned more. I don't know about Chris Farley, but I don't know him personally. But I know that my brother worked with him, and the only things that would ever happen was that he would have a lot of remorse for almost getting fired and things like that. And I think he was aware of boundaries that he was crossing, and I think he was a good boy. When he was a bad boy, and then he would be recalcitrant like a good boy.
Yeah, no, he was. He was a. I say this with love and affection. He was a classic addict.
Yeah,
and addicts are charming.
Yeah, because they have to get out of trouble that they caused.
Yeah. But he was a very. I met him a handful of times. He was always lovely.
Whereas Candy, I don't think Candy ever, he did drink, but he didn't drink to the point where it was ever a problem for people. I mean, he didn't.
It never affected his job. It never affected his job.
It really never affected his job, and that's the sort of backhandedly interesting story that Ron Howard told me in the book.
Exactly.
That he shows up for work at Splash after being in the bar with Jack Nicholson all night. There's something that happens to people every day.
Yeah.
But and the idea being that he's basically hungover, but which means still drunk, and he manages to hit himself exactly where he's supposed to hit himself on the the third or fourth take.
Yeah, it's a brilliant story, and this is right at the point. Like John Candy at this point, John Candy plays Tom Hanks. I guess they play brothers.
They're brothers. That's the inherent joke right there.
Slightly less believable than a mermaid, but
or DeVito and Schwarzenegger being twins.
Yeah. Oh, the other one is one of my favorite ones in the original The Wolfman, that Claude Rains is Lon Chaney Jr.'s father. It's like this big guy this 6'2" guy from Pittsburgh. Hello, Dad. Hello, Larry. Welcome home, son. But he's been on SCTV. He's not a star. He's an up and coming actor.
Yeah.
And he's doing well, and he's working in Splash, which is, it's not a giant movie. It's
at this point, it should be pointed out that Tom Hanks was not a proven leading man. Like he was the ex-star of Bosom Buddies.
Yeah, and Tom Hanks was basically, if you couldn't get Bill Murray, you'd try to get Tom Hanks.
Yeah. And Hanks, is so great in this book. He's so generous. He gave me very long interviews with lots of details about how much it meant to him to be at a table read with John Candy, and knowing that Eugene Levy was in the film, because he'd been watching SCTV while he'd been doing summer stock theater. He'd been going back to his hotel.
He's a comedy nerd.
And he knew exactly what Candy playing Jerry Mather's character in Leave It to Beaver in a SCTV parody. Right. He knew why that was funny. Yeah. And he actually describes SCTV as the Beatles of comedy. So suddenly he's, and I'm sure Peter Scolari is like, why not me? But
Peter Scolari, the Pete Best of Bosom Buddies.
Yeah, exactly. Although, didn't he come out? He was on Newhart,
he was on Girls.
Right? Yeah.
And
he played the father in Girls. Yeah. So he had a career. He had a
nice career.
But at that point, Tom Hanks was
nicer than Pete Best.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see Scolari doing the Bosom Buddies tour of Liverpool, but they never taped you, no. But anyway, so I just want to say that the moment was, and also Grazer and Ron Howard hadn't really hadn't really launched Imagine as the big company it became,
right?
And they, certainly Ron Howard.
Splash was a small movie.
Yeah,
And you tell the story in the book. It's so great that John Candy goes out one night. and Jack Nicholson knows who he is, and he can't get over that. He's like, what?
Yeah.
And so Jack goes, let's have a drink. And he goes, okay. And John's like, well, I got to go to work tomorrow. And Jack's like, no, let's go back to my house. Let's keep going. And you can't say no.
Yeah.
And so he went to Jack Nicholson's house and stayed up all night drinking and went right to the set, which is hell.
Oh yeah.
Which I did that sober once, shooting during the day and shooting something else at night and go right to set in the morning.
Yeah, you need that
and
sleep.
You're just the worst.
Yeah.
Feel like laundry. And to be hungover, or as he said, still drunk. And Ron, I was like, sorry, pal. No, we're spending $300,000 a day. Get in there.
Yeah, they rented this gym that they had to use for the racquetball scene, and they couldn't go another day over because it's again, this is early days for Imagine Entertainment. So I think it was a Disney offshoot paying the bills.
No,
or something.
you gotta. I don't care who you are or where you. It's like we're here. This is job one. You're hungover. That sounds like your problem, not mine. And he did it. He nailed it on the second take. But it just shows you, like, when you get into that world where Jack Nicholson wants to go partying with you, it's got to be surreal.
Yeah, it's like he's the mayor of Beverly Hills or something.
Yeah.
And I almost did a Jack Nicholson impression. I have to stop myself these days. But like just that whole idea of, like, the keys to the city. In this case, it's like the keys to his liquor cabinet back home.
Yeah.
But again, a humble Canadian too, because there's a couple of things that happen when SCTV goes down to write the series of Second City Television. They wrote one season in L.A. They were based in L.A., which introduced them to fans they never knew in the business. And one of them is Steven Spielberg. That's how John gets into 1941. But when he meets him, he doesn't believe that Steven Spielberg's a fan. And, and he's like at a party and everyone's had a few drinks. And he's thinking, well, Spielberg's just being nice to me and I'm not going to buy it. I'm not buying this. This is Hollywood. People lie to you.
Yeah. And it's important to say that this is late 70s.
Yeah.
And comedy is huge.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live is at its peak with the original cast: John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase is a movie star. Steve Martin is at his peak. He's touring. He's still doing stand-up in the white suit. He's selling out the Universal Amphitheater. Robin Williams is on Mork and Mindy every Thursday night. And comedy is the biggest box office. Star Wars and, science fiction and comedy. That's what's selling tickets.
Yeah.
The people on SNL, and I was in high school at that time, you were in high school at that time, were like the Rolling Stones. They were rock stars.
It's true.
They were rock stars. And if the people in SNL were the Rolling Stones, if you were a comedy nerd, especially in America, you knew about SCTV, but you knew about them the way a Rolling Stones fan knows about the Kinks, or the way like a Clash or Sex Pistols fan knows about the Ramones. It's like, well, this is the actual thing behind it.
Yeah.
So the SCTV guys were known to comedy nerds. They weren't famous, like walk down the street famous.
Yeah.
So I can see that they come down and they're like, John Candy is friends with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, but he is not as famous as Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. Yeah. But as a comedy nerd, and SCTV had so many different incarnations in America, and it was on so many different platforms. Outlets.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until they put it on, I believe it was after the Tonight Show on Friday nights, and I could be wrong. It's in the book, but it was called SCTV Network 90.
Yeah.
And they made it 90 minutes long because Saturday Night Live was 90 minutes long. And that's where it was just like, oh, it's just another Saturday Night Live with a different cast, but it's as funny.
Yeah. In fact, there were times when it might have been Tom Shales or one of the prevailing TV critic kings of the time, had said, why don't they just axe SNL and put SCTV in there? And there was definitely talk of hiring the Castaway.
Well, the brilliant thing that SCTV did was it didn't have the burden of being live.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And they would also do, and again, we're comedy nerds, and this is one of the things that happened to me. Like, I thought it was a dream. Like, did I dream that, or was that real? And then I got on YouTube and I dug and I dug and I dug. SCTV did in the late 70s a parody of Albert Brooks's Modern Romance, starring George Carlin.
Yeah.
Played by Rick Moranis.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that is, people give me shit for Dr. Z.
Yeah. For being high concept? Yeah.
You're just like more obscure. Like, I remember it and I was a kid. I was 15, but I was a comedy nerd of all, and it was George Carlin going, I mean, why do we call it a ship? It's like a ship. We're trying to keep it afloat. And like, who was getting this?
Yeah.
Outside of you and me and the people making it.
Well, then it's the same brain of Rick Moranis that would do the Play It Again, Bob, with a Woody Allen movie starring Bob Hope, and just like it's basically like Francois Truffaut and making comment about American cinema. It's an insider joke. It's Quentin Tarantino humor, basically. Yes. Like, you see, when I named the filmmaker this guy, it's a reference to Enrico's. It's like very inside baseball.
So inside, and then they would do stuff like the Farm Film Report or Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yeah,
that everybody would get.
But Billy Saul Hurok? I mean, that's an insider joke, right?
Big Jim McBob.
Big Jim
Billy
McBob.
Saul Hurok.
Yeah.
But I don't know, who was Billy Saul Hurok? I don't know. I don't even know that reference.
Well, Saul Hurok. Okay. American impresario. What field? Impresario. Could that just be a thing now? Like, it's on my card.
Yeah.
He was actually born Solomon Israelovich Hurok in the Soviet Union. Say that again. What did he do? He was a manager. He was, he managed, a bunch of people I don't recognize the names of. Efrem Zimbalist was one of his clients.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So no FBI without Saul Hurok.
Or for Efrem Zimbalist Jr.
Efrem Zimbalist Jr. without him. Anyhow. So I was a reference to an obscure showbiz personality that nobody seems to know, and I had to look up.
Yeah. And their parodies, like the parodies of The Godfather, and again, SCTV and SNL does not have this.
No, they didn't do high concept that way.
Or the density, the density of the bits. The fact that Floyd Robertson was Count Floyd.
Yes.
In the way that every local TV station's some on-air personality had to double as the monster movie host.
Oh yeah, in Buffalo, New York, which Candy and myself would have seen, there was a guy named Tom Joles, Jolls. He was the weatherman on WAB, the ABC channel 7.
Right.
It's always a 7 apparently. And he also was Commander Tom in the afternoon showing cartoons.
Yeah.
When you figured that out, you cracked the code.
Janine might have even pointed it out. It was like, no, Floyd Robertson is Count Floyd. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, and also, so Canadians would know this inside joke of Floyd Robertson is based on Lloyd Robertson, who was the long-standing host of the CTV National News. And Eugene Levy's character was Gene Camembert. And
I see. I know all of these
Earl
characters.
Camembert. Sorry, Earl Camembert.
Right. Earl Camembert.
And Earl Cameron was the CBC host.
Okay, and also I know with Martin Brock
Linehan as Brian Linehan. Yeah.
Right, as Brian Linehan.
And that's a dead-on impersonation of a guy who was pretty much cable. Well, he was local TV in Toronto, and then I think it went syndication. A TV movie interviewer who knew everything about everything. Brian Linehan was an amazing legend. If you ever find him on YouTube, he asks the smartest questions, and more often than not,
I've seen him. I watch him on YouTube.
So, but the
here's
point
the
is,
thing.
there's always a point in the interview where somebody says,
Right.
"You've really done your research," and he looks at the camera smugly, and Brock Linehan does that. So that's all.
Because I didn't, and this is the same with Python.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that I hope is true in my own microcosmic way. I hope is true with Dr. Z. I didn't know those references.
Yeah.
I had no idea Earl Camembert was based on anyone. I didn't know Brock Linehan was based on anyone. I didn't know Floyd Robertson was based on anyone, and it didn't matter.
Exactly.
I didn't know, and the Beatles. I don't know about Blackburn, Lancashire. I don't know what Weybridge means. It doesn't matter. I don't need to. I don't need to know. I don't have to. I know now that Mr. Wilson is Harold Wilson, the British Prime Minister. Yeah. I didn't know it at the time, and it didn't matter to me. You didn't need to know that stuff, but if you did know it was there's so much more
my
going
own brother
on.
Mike, who we can mention, is,
yes, your brother is Mike Myers.
He talks a lot about second level references, and
sure,
and that's excuse me, that's there's a term I've heard other people use: feed the bear. So it's like you give people the joke up front, so they're happy and they're feeding on that. But what they don't know is you've stuck vitamins in there.
Yeah,
and you.
The Simpsons does that a lot.
Simpsons does that a lot, and in taking that torch, I think Family Guy took from the Simpsons that aspect of we can make references that are secondary references.
Yeah,
and maybe South Park does it too. I don't know.
I get a lot of grief. I'm going to vent for a minute.
Okay.
Because this month coming up, I have a Dr. Z show, and then I'm doing Plan 9 from Outer Space Live.
Right.
And I seem to have gone straight to the pill, and I've gotten rid of the banana. I just do stuff that I like, and you're welcome to come along. And if you don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I can remember this is not in the 90s, when they did The Last Polka.
Oh, yeah. This is John Candy and Eugene Levy as the Schmengi brothers.
As the Schmengi brothers.
Characters they created on SCTV, and then they did this.
Yeah. And that was after SCTV, right? The Last Polka. What was that, like a Showtime or Cinemax?
Yeah, I think it might have been HBO.
Oh, okay.
I came to my own interview not knowing things.
It was a parody of The Last Waltz.
Yeah.
But it was the Schmengis as The Last Waltz. But again, so in depth. So if you don't need to have seen The Last Waltz, but if you do, the train set and the Hot Wheels track, there's so many inside things.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time, Janine Garofalo and I could sub-reference The Last Waltz, and Liz Winstead as well.
Uh-huh.
We could just lean on every day on each other's answering machine, just like Linz Minick on the Gelkis. Every day, as if you didn't know. I told him I hope he found a raisin in his surprise roll. It was, small talk. It's like and you can't, it's what I always quote Joel Hodgson talking about Mystery Science Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody gets it, but the right people get it.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And it is like the Ramones, or it's just like, this means so much to me.
Well, that's
the fact that you don't. I once wrote a foreword to a book about the Twilight Zone. And it was the thing that I loved about the Twilight Zone was when I watched the Twilight Zone, even though it was off the air, I was 1 year old when it was canceled or whatever. But I watch it now and it's like, oh, this doesn't think I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
And that's refreshing.
Well, I just got to say at this point that something that Second City training, and it probably goes all the way back to everyone should know about Del Close. Del Close was this improv guru.
Another health nut.
No, but Del Close, yeah. I mean, I would say he was a deeply flawed messenger of an incredibly great message, which was
as is usually the case.
Yeah. I mean, he suffered for his art. Now it's your turn. But his thing is that he would teach, and I know this because he actually taught a class that my brother took. So Mike told me what it was like to be in a class. But he's the guy who discovered John Candy. He's the guy who, discovered him in the sense that
did Mike was in a class that Del Close taught?
Yeah, Del Close taught.
That must have been terrifying.
That was at Second City, Toronto. And so Mike, there's a kind of a sub-thread to, how you always bring yourself to the work. I kind of relate to John Candy's story because I watched my brother go through some of those parts.
Sure.
In his case,
course.
eventually he went to Chicago, just like John Candy did. And he worked with Del Close, just like John Candy did. And also John Candy, well, now that we're bringing this subject up, John Candy is the reason Mike got to Second City workshops, because John Candy was doing a big city comedy at the Toronto Convocation Hall. I think it was a personal appearance, not a taping. Right. And Tim Kazurinsky and Candy were at the backstage door just greeting fans, which
your brother was a kid. My
brother was a kid, and he went right up to him and said, Mr. Candy, how do I get into comedy? And instead of saying, just some stupid answer, he said, well, here's the thing. If you're good at it, you should go take the lessons at Second City workshops, and then you can find out how good you're at it. And if you really like doing it, even while you're doing the work of it, then you realize you can do it no matter who's watching. And then if you get really good at it, someone will notice maybe, and then maybe you'll have a career. Or if you don't like it, you'll move on to something else. This is really healthy advice for somebody.
Really, really, really healthy advice. Really, really healthy advice.
And it doesn't say hang out at the corner of Hollywood and Vine and wait to be discovered,
it speaks so well of him that he, took the time. George Carlin tells a story about when he was a kid, Danny Kaye was his hero. And Danny Kaye was in a show on Broadway. And it was raining, and it was a school day, but George Carlin skipped school to meet Danny Kaye, and he went to the show and stayed by the stage door. Danny Kaye comes out, just breezes past everybody, gets his car and drives off. And he's like, fuck Danny Kaye. It's like and that, I think that's why, like John Candy, George Carlin was incredibly solicitous when you would talk to him.
Oh, that's true. And did Carlin, not to go on a Carlin tangent, but I love Carlin stories, and Kelly Carlin too, for that matter.
Yeah.
But I think was it Lenny Bruce was actually gave him advice, right? Like
they were also arrested together.
You learn a lot by being in the back of a paddy wagon with someone.
But no, he was great. But and that's so it gives you again, it's chicken and the egg. It's like, that's why people love that's the movie, they say. Someone who's mentioned in your book, John McGinley,
yes,
told me, which I didn't know, never knew this. The motion picture camera is a machine that photographs people thinking.
Oh, interesting.
Which is why when you're acting on camera, it's all in here, not out here. You have to think it. And the camera will see you think it.
Yeah, it's your facial expressions too, right? Where your eyes are.
It's where your eyes and how your eyes are.
Yeah.
And you can, it's all internal. And I came to this so late in my purported acting career. But I insist, if a person is a decent person, you can tell. And if they're an asshole, you can tell.
It's sort of true. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are, key examples in both ends of that, but that dispute that. But I mean, for the most part, absolutely. And especially in film and TV acting, this is what you're saying too, because, for instance, Candy and those guys, they learned how to do theatrical motions on stage, broader things, but it was close comedy. It was close, small dinner theaters, right?
Right.
So they were still doing face takes, and they were still doing body language and things like that. But then when and this happened with the Kids in the Hall too. There's an adjustment period where you learn how to act for the camera. And I know Dave Foley talked a lot about that in My Kids in the Hall book, not to keep selling the other book, but it's
Sell
a good
your shit, man.
Well, no, but this is
why you're
becoming
here.
an area that I seem to know a couple of things about. So I love this, that SCTV also had that, where they started realizing that the sketches they did on stage weren't necessarily all going to make it to TV, and they had to figure out, and that was where they went into the makeup and the film parodies and the Beside Adventure, Towering Inferno thing, and also this whole Johnny LaRue gets his crane shot episode. And this whole story about him getting fired by Guy Caballero, or was it Guy Caballero? Sorry, I just translated it in my head.
You were naturally thinking of Gay Talese
or the Gay Caballeros.
Perfect.
But Guy Caballero, the president of SCTV, fires Johnny LaRue for overspending, which is something that was happening to them. But then they said we need cameras to make films, make it look more filmy, and like this whole thing so their adjustment, they're working it into the script. They even have Marvin Kittman from Newsday referenced in the show because he'd written a bad review, and
Good Lord.
Yeah, exactly. And then in this movie, they used the same crane shot from Dog Day Afternoon to show a riot, a helicopter shot, and that he gets in total shit for using a helicopter within the show. And then finally on Christmas Eve, he's out doing street beef, Johnny LaRue, and he passes out in the snow drunk, and all of a sudden it's shot from a crane, and it's Santa Claus on a multi with lights all over the crane. Here's your crane shot, Johnny. And it's like, and then they're doing Martin Scorsese, like then they're doing, and they're also doing Chinatown, within the show, with different shows, Polynesian Town, with Dr. John saying, I got that rib recipe you wanted, like Dr. John.
So deep. It's so deep, and it was one of those. Is like, follow if you can, folks.
Yeah, and then I kind of want to meet the person who found it funny without knowing the references, because I bet that's true. I bet.
Oh, you totally. I don't know if I was even familiar with Chinatown because that was like 79.
Yeah.
78. I probably hadn't seen Chinatown.
Well, what you were saying earlier about Python, like I remember they would reference people like Reginald Bosanquet, who was apparently the BBC anchor person. So, but they would mention,
no idea.
They'd have somebody reading the name Reginald Bosanquet, and like the joke is the guy's name. There's no other joke there, but the fact that they're mentioning it, it's like what my mother used to call fourth form humor, where schoolboys would just make fun of the teachers' names. So it's kind of heavy because it's anti-establishment humor, but it's also really silly because there's no nowadays we're so attuned to like specific barbs at Stephen Miller, we know specifically what we're talking about, the Epstein files, release all that stuff, but nowadays, the average, social media user has both the highest reference level and the no reference level.
Right. See, it's funny talking about big city comedy, because that's one of the things in this book that I had no clue about.
Yeah.
That there was another that he left SCTV.
Yeah.
Left Second City and created his own show.
Yeah.
That Tim Kazurinsky came from and Martin Short came from.
I don't think Martin Short was on.
Was he? It says he was a writer on Big City Comedy.
Mike Short, I think.
Oh, I might have. Mike, his brother.
His brother. Yeah. You gotta never bury the brother, man.
No. They're all important. But there was this whole other show called Big City Comedy.
Yeah, Big City Comedy. It was on.
Did that come down to? Was that ever on in the States?
Yeah, it was syndicated, and it was like through this company that was owned by the Osmonds. And they tried to film it in Utah or something. Like it was just like it just didn't work. So they ended up taking it back to Toronto, and they made it in the same studio where John Candy had gotten his TV start on the David Steinberg syndicated show.
Sure.
That's where he worked with Martin Short too. Martin Short and Eugene Levy, Joe Flaherty, and some of the other people, but mostly it was John Candy was a regular on the David Steinberg show, which was a really forgotten show, I think. But
now I remember a David Steinberg show. I don't know.
It was a variety show based on him being the Bob Hope model, was or
I remember
not Bob Hope.
Smothers Brothers.
Yeah.
Kinda.
The idea of a show within the show. Jack Benny. That's what I was
Jack
thinking.
Benny.
Yeah,
Okay,
that idea
this is
that
a different show.
he's a comedian. David Steinberg's a comedian who has a variety show, and across the street at the diner from the TV studio, all sorts of mad things happen. Hijinks, hilarity ensues.
He hosted a variety show. I don't know. I have a memory of it. I'm 4 or 5 years old. He is standing in front of King Kong's feet, and they had 2 giant gorilla feet. And it was like a recurring thing. That's all I remember. But that was the David Steinberg show. And I asked him, and he's like, yeah, no, that was a thing. That was real. Because it was like, did I dream this? Or did you ever do a thing? Again, David Steinberg, the nicest man.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I was so pleased to be able to speak with him for both of my last 2 books. David Steinberg has a role in both my last 2 books.
Right.
And he's like, again, when you're Canadian, as you know about me, we hold up David Steinberg, as an icon of coming from Canada.
Yeah.
Who made an impact,
Director of one of the possibly the most underrated film in cinema history, The Wrong Guy.
Oh, I just saw The Wrong Guy.
It's so many.
I just saw The Wrong Guy with
jokes.
Many of the original people in the room, on a panel. So it was Foley, Jay.
Was that a Dynasty typewriter? Was that
no?
Down
That
here?
was here in the Bay Area. It was for SF Sketchfest. It was at the 4-Star Theater in Chinatown.
That movie so goddamn.
And it's so
funny
because I know those guys like Jay Kogan and David Higgins and so at one point they're taking questions from the audience and I stand up. They know me, but I go, Paul Myers for fourth track here at the something like I'm a local writer. Anyway, it was. Oh, and I got to meet Jennifer Tilly, female lead in the film.
Who is the female? That's a great question. Who is the female?
Man,
I know Colm Fior is in it.
Yes, well, there you do. Yes.
Was he at the 4-Star?
No.
He later went on to be in the brilliant Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
No, he's not. I'm thinking that's Colm Fior. I don't know. This guy, the guy that is in The Wrong Guy, played the devil in Stephen King's Storm of the Century.
But so they were all there, and I think Joe Flaherty had just passed away, so it was actually nice to everyone to say something about Joe Flaherty.
I can't get used to this new chair.
Exactly. One of the just a little tangent about The Wrong Guy, which has nothing to do with John Candy, but maybe everything. But there's the whole subplot of the fact that the banks are being bought out by the evil farmer.
Evil farmer.
Like, just to me,
you won't grow an ear of your filthy corn on my land.
Exactly.
And Enema Bag Johnson, just one of the greatest all time.
Enema Bag Jones. It's great. It's like,
so
and that was that before The Usual Suspects? I can't remember because the same.
Oh yeah, I think it is.
The same trope. But anyway, we digress. But my point being, what was my point? How do we get to that?
Well, we were I think that we were talking about David Steinberg and the effect that big city comedy and it's a very small town. It's a small group of people. Everybody, it was like the comedy scene here in LA in the 90s. Like when I came up, everybody knew everybody, and it was just like, David Cross is working here. Bob Odenkirk's over there. Now they're going to go they met on the Ben Stiller show and now they're going to go make Mr. Show and they're going to take some people from Ben Stiller, but then they're going to make new people. And, it's all, so much of those scenes are social.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. And
Kids in the Hall, certainly, like as the documentary shows, it was a social thing.
Yeah, and definitely, and then again, the cross pollination of the fact that the Second City cast were coming to see tapings of the Kids in the Hall, or they coming to see the shows actually, and then it was Pam Thomas, ex-wife of Dave Thomas, who was doing some recruiting for Lorne Michaels, and that's how they got on Lorne's radar. And that does happen, and I think it was actually, not to go off on a tangent with Mike again, but Martin Short did an improv with Mike, my brother, when he was in the cast of Second City Toronto, that it was such a good improv, and everyone said to Martin Short's face, he looks like a young Martin Short, which Martin wasn't that old, so it was like, but anyway, but then it went back to Lorne, so that world, all about especially because it's Toronto, it's comedy. There's very few people that don't know each other within that world, and from the stand-ups to the cabaret performers to the sketch comedians, and they all had different ideas of what they wanted to do with it, and then some people were lucky enough to take it outside.
There's a really to bring it back to John, like about who John was.
Yeah.
There's a really interesting story in the book about Stripes, which I've seen a grillion times because I was an usher at the theater when it was playing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, whenever I hear that, I move to open the doors.
Right.
One, I did not know it was originally a Cheech and Chong movie.
Isn't that crazy?
Which was bananas.
It's crazy.
And then there's a famous scene in the movie where John mud wrestles some women.
Yeah.
And John hated it.
Yeah.
Because he thought they're just making fat jokes. But that is a great example of that was the banana that they put the pill in.
Yeah.
Because that's in the trailer. Topless chicks and fat guy in mud.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like, Meatballs, or Porky's.
Yeah.
Like all those films that were in the wake of National Lampoon, like frat boy humor, I think they called it, So Ivan Reitman, who made that film, probably wants to seriously feed the bear. In this case, the bear is a pimply 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
But
by the way, I completely get it.
Yeah. No. And the thing is, there was stuff in there that even the idea of, I don't want to rationalize the wet t-shirt thing, but there was definitely, they're not asking you to think it's a great thing necessarily, but they are gratuitously letting you enjoy the women in the bikinis. But they're also exploiting a lot of, it's all about body shaming and body objectification and all that stuff. And it's all true. But I also think that they kind of came by it honestly, kind of backing into it, especially if I guess I am rationalizing it to some extent, but I'm not saying you should do it today.
I'll give you an example of how it is today. If you have written a horror film that is in a stage of production, you will have people have to die, and they have to die creatively, and we have to see it because this has to be rated R.
I see. Right. Graphic violence is insisted upon.
Yeah, that's how we're going to sell this. That's how we're going to sell this thing. Get it in there.
Yeah, like I don't know if they'd made Stripes today, would there be like on-stage fornication, like on-screen fornication? But anyway, but what was great about that is like at the same time, Bill Murray's sticking it to the man and making a mockery of the military,
right?
And the military are letting them use their facilities to film it. So there's all kinds of subversion levels that aren't the front level.
Our new best buddy and big toe, Sergeant Hulka.
No, there's so much stuff in there. It was interesting that I talked to Dave Thomas.
Again, I know just by nature of that, I'm seeing that movie so many fucking times because that would be just all day, 3 times a day, for like 5 days.
And
Lee Harvey, you are a madman.
But when Thomas was telling me about Dave Thomas was telling me about how much John Candy suffered that scene and how humiliating it was. It was really...
I found that very touching. I found that very touching.
And Joe Flaherty kind of confirmed it too. Joe Flaherty was in that film, and he I don't know if he's in that scene, but because he wouldn't be. He played a Russian, did he not?
I can't. Yeah. The whole second. That's 2 movies.
Yeah.
There's a great movie. And then they graduate from basic training, and it's just like, we got to end this.
Also, this like modified RV that they're driving around.
Yeah, the M160 or some weird thing. Yeah, no, once they get out of basic training, it's just like, huh?
But what? Candy's speech about wanting to be a lean, mean fighting machine is so good. And I discovered that certain film companies don't like you to quote entire dialogue without paying them what I consider to be too much money. So you might notice in my book, I reference it as he wants to become a man that is less in stature and more in grit, to be a better machine of war.
I find that so strange that it goes to that extent.
Well, the John Hughes people let me use the entire "I like me" scene. Like, so I feel like, and that's where I started to have to go around and make sure everybody was cool with me quoting the films. I understand intellectual property to some degree, but at the same time, permission can be granted. Especially for educational purposes. But I don't want to air my laundry here.
You talk about John Hughes because the arc of John's career, he started off as this very underground, like you could say, like in the modern parlance, they were pretty alt. They were pretty subversive. You could say subversive for sure. And then just the natural arc of your life and your career, you become mainstream. And then he's making Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
And who is Harry Crumb?
Yeah.
And he's, I'm not including Uncle Buck in this, but in terms of Harry Crumb and Wagons, he's making stuff he knows is bad.
Yeah. I don't know if Uncle Buck is considered bad by people, but
no, I was excluded Uncle Buck from that. I was talking about like who is Harry Crumb and
certainly films like Delirious and
Going Berserk.
Yeah. And
and you just like, I know. Yeah, it's like, I'm in this. I got to do it. I also have an overhead. I have a family. I have 2 kids. I own a farm. I've got to work. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's just like, at a certain point, it's like, because I remember being a punk comedy jerk. You're selling out. Like, well, that's why we're in this business.
Yeah. At some point. Yeah.
That's why we're doing that. It's a business. I'm selling. Yes. I'm going to do this thing that might not, is going to try to appeal to more than just my friends here at the Coach and Horses.
And how about the fact that also the fact that you can command that fee, like the fact that Candy could command, historical at the time fees for these things.
Yeah.
And so if someone's going to enable you, then, and you have overhead and you also want to create a nest egg for your family, because showbiz careers are traditionally short. Nobody knows how long. In John Candy's case, I'm sure he knew of his ticking time bomb of health.
Well, see, that's the thing that he lost his father when he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
His father was very young. His father was in
35.
his 40s, 35. God.
I mean, that's right. Of heart issues.
A baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he felt like he was on borrowed time. He didn't think he was going to live to be 40.
Yeah.
And then everything after 40 was borrowed time.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't help himself with his physicality and his habits.
Yeah.
But that does say something about how he lived and worked. Like, I gotta do this quick.
Yeah. I mean, I've avoided judging it as that he was reckless because he, wanted to leave a nest egg for his family, because I feel like it would be hurtful to his family to sort of feel that he sacrificed himself literally.
Yeah.
Right. I think it was more like working actor practicality, and
being a responsible adult.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you make a promise to your partner and your kids that daddy's going to get to play in movies, but there's going to be a paycheck. I don't want John's family to think that I'm saying that he was just like burning the midnight oil to sort of so he could die and leave them alone. Because I'm sure deep down they wished he had like not done it, and there's a lot of things obviously people have regrets. I mean, that people have about everything.
And also it wasn't the work that killed him. It was the smoking, and the drinking,
in this case,
the eating.
But there is that argument to be made that doing Wagons East in a very hot, high altitude, in leathers, and he was not in the greatest shape during that period. And
he was over 350 pounds by that time.
I mean,
he was like,
because you look at some of the early SCTVs, and he was the big guy then, but he was nimble. Like, he was, he was limber, as they say.
Yeah. And he wasn't, and it was just so funny because how our definitions have changed. Like when you see, talking about Elvis Presley is fat, fat Elvis.
Yeah.
And you see him at his fattest, and he's not fat. He's just bloated.
Puffy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just puffy. He's just in a bad state, but he's not.
Yeah. Well, John Lennon used to talk about his own fat Elvis period, and you see the pictures, he's just got like a full face.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah. But
That's around
all
the
their conversation.
the paperback writer video.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
look at me. I'm a fatty. You know, like,
Yeah.
no, you're not. You know, I'm in a Beatles Zoom group every weekend with a bunch of people. Some people that you and I know.
Is Kevin in it?
Dan Pasternak's in it. Who else is in it that you?
I watched Dan Pasternak meet Paul McCartney.
Oh wow, there's a story.
Yep.
And Dan's great. Dan Pasternak and I are actually doing an event together in. It's so funny because I was trying to get a bookstore just out of New York City, and I wanted it to be I'm not. Anyway, it's Paramus, New Jersey, a Barnes and Nobles that Dan Pasternak has graciously agreed to come over to do. But I'm looking forward to it now because now it's an event because Dan Pasternak talking about comedy is it's like I would interview him. He's going to interview me about John Candy, but I would interview Dan Pasternak about comedy because he's a guy who constantly is one of the great. I'd say he's one of my better friends right now. Like
and he's an encyclopedia. Another great thing in this book is I love the origins of projects and how everything in show business starts off as something and then becomes something else. And then you finally get it. It is so little bearing on what you know. I didn't know this, that Ghostbusters was originally intended to be a vehicle for Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and a very young Eddie Murphy.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
That's crazy. And one story that I learned about that is I was talking to the guy who sculpted Slimer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you would, right?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. And they kept submitting it and they kept kicking it back and like, no, it's not right. And no, it's not right. And it's not right. And then this guy goes, finally, I made it look like John Belushi. And they went, great.
Oh my God. Wow. That's amazing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, me neither. But it's just like, okay, yeah, I get
also, that John Candy was supposed to play the part that Rick Moranis played, but he would have played it entirely differently, which is why he doesn't.
Tyrolean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Aykroyd, who was so great to me on this book, like Aykroyd talked to me for hours about every detail, even the film that, you know, Nothing But Trouble, that was such a bizarrely failed project that is also fantastically failed. Like it is now one of those films that,
yes,
it's like the anti-hero version of Ghostbusters. There are parts of it that are fantastic. There are parts of it that are fantastic, but he just goes, and on a punk rock level, he just goes hard. Like he doesn't do any of the gags halfway. So, you know,
well, it is one of those things because like I ran into this with Stand Against Evil, like in meetings, like it's a horror comedy.
Yeah.
But you got to have rules. And you got to have a straight man. And you know, I always went in, and Nothing But Trouble does not do this. Okay, I'll give you an example. This is really boring. Stand Against Evil steals John Landis's An American Werewolf in London algorithm.
Right.
Which is, it's a horror movie. The creatures in a horror movie. The people don't know they're in a horror movie. So they just behave normally. They don't behave comedically, they just behave normally, which in the context of a horror movie makes it funny.
Right.
That's An American Werewolf in London. Then you have something like Nothing But Trouble, or which is a lot like Mars Attacks, which is everything is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And Beetlejuice is the same way. The thing that screws it up is Beetlejuice works.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't. On paper, it shouldn't work.
Right.
But it does. And that screwed it up for everybody because Nothing But Trouble, Mars Attacks, Evolution, like none of those things work because you gotta have you've got to know where the ground is.
Yeah, I mean,
have a straight man and a funny
it could be
man.
argued that maybe having Demi Moore and Chevy Chase play more or less a straight, you know, corporate couple was supposed to be the grounding agent. But I don't think the public came to Chevy Chase at that point to be that guy, you know?
Yes.
So you expected him to do an eyebrow take.
It's like Glenn Close and Jack Nicholson as the goofy president and first lady in Mars Attacks. It doesn't work. Tom Kenny, who I am, as we speak, texting with, because he just told me that they are making, and he is enraged that they are making a biopic of the Shags. It's like, great, just what we needed, modern day snark about the Shags.
Yeah.
But he said, and it's true, because if you took the aliens from Mars Attacks and replaced them with the aliens from Independence Day, but you had all the people from Independence Day, that's a comedy.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying. Like, so this gets back to what we were talking about.
They're playing it straight as a heart attack, and the aliens are goofy.
And this gets back to what we were sort of touching on about the Second City training, to bring it back to John Candy, because the idea was that, you know, and Del Close talked about this a lot, to just play the truth, but then play it in a way that lets the absurdity of the truth come out, you know, and so somebody has to be acting for real. And if you look at all of the things that John Candy did, there was a moment where he was not doing broad comedy, but he could be funny. And, you know, I would argue that Harry Crumb is less successful because they really invested heavily in him being a character, you know, multiple personalities, and it just became a series of sketches, right?
Right.
And I think that I'm not coming on this program to totally diss Harry Crumb. I think they had the best intentions, and certainly Candy was at that stage in his career financing the film and trying to really take control.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that was it was
his production.
John Candy joint.
Yeah, and Paul Flaherty, you know, Joe Flaherty's brother, who had written on SCTV, was directing it, and they really wanted it to be an extension of that mindset that they created on SCTV, and it somehow didn't work, and it also didn't get a lot of promotion for whatever reason, you know, and you could blame all aspects of that. But when it did work, and when in the hands of someone like John Hughes, who, whatever you think about the suburbanness of his films, that suburbanness is a slice of reality that grounds the comedy. You know, and Neil Page, 100%. Steve Martin's Neil Page was a very real character.
And that's the world that John Candy comes from.
Yeah, and that's why it worked, I think, is what I'm saying.
I agree.
Think that one of the tragedies of my John Candy book, I think, or in the book, is that John Hughes retreating from the world of film after, and Home Alone having been his big franchise as a producer, and having had a few, you know, things that didn't work, he just went away. And then suddenly Candy didn't have a John Hughes. If Candy had a John Hughes, we could have got, and who knows if Bartholomew versus Neff with Sylvester Stallone had gotten made. Like, who knows what that would have been. It might have been terrible. I mean, I don't know.
That was my question. Where do you think, had he survived and gotten healthy, where do you think John's career, I don't see him doing an Aykroyd and kind of checking out.
No. I think character work. I think he would have done a few dramatic films.
Yeah,
it's hard to.
He could have been like a Charles Durning
or a Charles Lawton. But you know, Charles Durning for sure. Yeah, like he might have been a dad character on Schitt's Creek. You know,
right? Yeah.
And it might have been a very popular character, or he would have been in Newhart or something.
Right.
You know, like Tom Poston. You know, like something like that. I don't know. It's a nice game, I suppose. Sort of like what if the Beatles didn't break up? But I mean,
right.
But I think the dramatic thing was calling, and I think, you know, Oliver Stone basically said someone should snap this guy up. You know, it's interesting quoting Oliver Stone in any context at this point. But I think definitely the dramatic thing was there, and I know Tarantino was interested in him for Pulp Fiction. No, was it Reservoir Dogs?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, you know, the way conversations go back and forth. And you got to remember, at that point, Tarantino wasn't Tarantino. Like, Reservoir Dogs was the film that made him, you know, and then Pulp Fiction was one that sailed it home.
Right.
But to have that guy who is a big cinephile recognize that this guy could be box office, you know, he could be a you know, the same way that Tarantino always seems to recognize people who are not necessarily already being used in
John Travolta being a great example.
And Forsyth and Jackie Brown, you know, and so he knows who's, you know, and he also spotted Christoph Waltz, you know, like those guys. like I'm on a Tarantino binge lately. Can you tell? But
Sure.
but what I love about Tarantino is that he's the kind of guy that people like John Candy would really have loved because he saw them. Tarantino sees actors and what they could do for stories and characters, and that's what Candy would have done. I mean, would have, could have. I don't know. Should have.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Would he have made Confederacy of Dunces? Would he have made?
It's a whole other story in the book. There's like every time the Confederacy of Dunces came up as an idea to make a movie, the person involved dies. John Belushi and I think later they did offer it to Farley. It's like, so don't offer it to me, anybody out there.
Don't offer it to me.
It's like getting a call from JD Vance. It's just like you're not going to survive.
There's so many things that I wanted to get to that I didn't get to, including the new show, the fact that Martin Short was on SCTV for such a little amount of time. Yeah. It's made such an impact. The fact that John Candy did 160 episodes.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling stuff. The book is called John Candy, A Life in Comedy. When does it come out?
October 7th, everywhere.
October 7th.
Yeah, still no everywhere. LA date for a book event, but I will be on the East Coast at, I don't know when this is dropping, but.
Well, this will drop in about 2 weeks. So if you know more, then let me know and I'll post it.
I should probably put a website up, but I don't have the stuff handy, so maybe I'll give it to you and you can add it in later.
Yeah, we'll put it up. Yeah, it's a really great book, and it's a really informative read. It's a beautiful story about a guy that you think you know, and you don't, and it's not. It's you read these books often, and you go like, oh God, what a shit. Oh, God, what a shit.
None of that.
And none of that. Like, oh wow, he was really bummed out about his weight all the time.
Yeah, and the media didn't help. The
media didn't help.
In those days, you really could get away with so-called fat shaming. I say in quotes.
Yeah.
And or body shaming if you want to be kinder.
Yeah.
And they just would go for it. They go to town. There's local interviewers where John Candy's doing a press. You can see it on YouTube where he does press junkets with some local TV host. Those two-shot things. Yeah. And someone says, a fat man like you being a leading man. This is where Jiminy Glick gets his ideas, by the way, is these local interviews, right?
Yeah.
A fat man like you trying to be a leading man. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
And John's look.
When are you going to do a good movie?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And John Candy looks to the audience almost like The Office, he looks to the camera like, can you believe I have to do this?
Oh, God.
Yeah, he saw a bus wrap for summer rental or something, and it just blew his mind how big he looked on the side of the bus,
Oh, God.
So anyhow,
So
that was going on the whole time, and he was just trying to be a nice guy to everybody.
Yeah, and clearly, and clearly was. Well, it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful book. Did a great job. Paul Myers. The book is John Candy, A Life in Comedy. Buy it at a bookstore.
Oh yeah, your local independent bookstore.
Yeah, go to an independent.
And I just
bookstore,
want to say, Dana Gould saying nice things about a book I've written, it never gets old, and I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that you got the story, because one of the things I really do when I'm writing these things is people can get facts from, I don't know, Gemini,
Wikipedia,
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not real facts, but they can also just, But when you get the facts and then write them into a book that has a narrative to it, that is what I do. That's my job. Yeah. And if I do that job, then you come away understanding the context of these facts. And when you say you like the story of it, that makes me happy. So thank you.
Good. Well, it does. It's a beautiful story. And again, you and I, and probably a lot of the people listening to this, we came of age at that time. Yeah. These guys were rock stars to us.
Yeah.
And and I love reading about how they're all friends.
Yeah.
How they all know each other. It's a small world, and they're all so human. They're all so human.
Except for
Steve Martin.
Except for Steve Martin, who's superhuman.
Yeah.
There you go.
And this story has nice stories about Chevy Chase.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like Chevy Chase saying that
it's the only book in the nice things about Chevy Chase section of the store.
It's crazy. Everyone warned me about Chevy Chase, and then he's like, well, we were I don't think he said flying aces, but he sort of made it sound like they were the pilots club, and they all knew each other from their work, and they all came up together, and they all were friends, and I'm like, wow, and also, he can't remember being mean to John Candy. Would put him in a headlock once at a party. He goes, I don't remember that. Like he's, what's too painful to remember. But
well, he's Chevy. By the way, I met him once and he was lovely. I've certainly heard stories like this person, Shatner. Like Shatner doesn't know that he's been rude to you.
I still like to talk to Shatner about music sometime on my show.
Yeah, I've been this close to him and I've never introduced myself. I know people that know him, and if I'm introduced, I'll say hi. But I don't want to.
I want to talk to him about the album he did with Ben Folds.
Okay, last story. A friend of mine was talking to George Takei and talked about the Transformed Man, Shatner's spoken word album. And he says, didn't he have friends to tell him this wasn't a good idea? Takei goes, Bill? Friends?
Yeah.
Other podcasts reach for the sky. Dana Gould Hour.
We barely try.
This has been the Dana Gould Hour, brought to you by the Internet. Music by Andy Paley, with Jake Posner behind the board. Produced by Jeff Fox. Graphic design and web production by Spencer Hunt and Segan Friend. Sound editing and post-production by Jalinda Palmer and Joe Napolitano. Tom Kenny speaking.
I'm a DJ, I'm a DJ, I'm a person, I'm a person, I'm a singer, I love to sing and DJ. Boom! Peace out! Peace out! You want me? Peace out! Boom.